Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Monster Hunter World Iceborne live stream. We're back on the Eggsbox. How many days do we got left for Cove? Like 2 to 3 days are left. And then we get to find out exactly how powerful her weapons are. And you can stop asking me if I think that her weapons are going to be more powerful than Safajiva's. They'll probably be roughly about as powerful, since I'm probably going to get 20 people who are going to ask that. How powerful is Kulf Tarat's weapons going to be? But here we are. You can see the session ID in the upper right-hand corner. And tonight, we're going to be chatting just like we normally do. So basically, this will be a session where you can post quests that you want help on, and I will join and give you all the help I can. So that's what we're going to be doing. I think we'll play a little bit with the blast bow that I put together, that defensive blast bow build. We'll be playing with that, and we'll be playing very casually, because whenever I do these chat streams, it's very hard for me to read, but also to play at the same time. It's hard for me to do both of those, right? So we're going to have a lot of fun. Maybe we'll do 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, just depends on whatever fun topics we land on. I actually didn't watch the news for a whole day. Can you believe it? How's it going, God Terror Boy? RuneScape. That's right. We're going to go play some RuneScape. Xboners. Sexbox. Hey, could you shout out someone for me? It'll mean a lot to me if it's not cool. Colin, you should have just told me who you wanted me to shout out. Luxurion says, also fifth like Big Flex. What? First time joining for live stream. How's it going, Chapacan? Chapacan? Can I get some help with my love life? That's right, Cheese. All you need is to eat a tin of sardines, and then if you eat a tin of sardines, you will be filled with sardine oil, and this will give you the tiger attractiveness. You will attract all the lady tigers to yourself. Talk about it, Cheese. Tell us. It's chat time. All right, so here we go. Can I get some help with my... Well, we could talk about that kind of stuff, too. We could talk about dating. What's modern dating like, guys? I haven't had to deal with it. I've been with the same girl for 7 years. She's sitting right here. She's smiling. She's smiling. She's going to blush in a minute. Look at this. Okay, well, here, let's go get our bow build. Tell me about modern dating, everyone. Tell me a story. I'm tired of telling you guys stories. You guys should tell me one. Let's go over here. All right, so this is my defensive build. It's not recommended to use anything like this if you want to do high damage, but as you can see, we did manage to fit Crit Eye, Agitator, Crit Boost, Weakness Exploit, Spread Power Shots, Blast Attack, Normal Shots, Constitution, Bow Charge Plus, and we have Health Boost and Divine Blessings. So you know how I feel about this build? I think this build is probably pretty decent for somebody who has never used the bow and just wants to have practice using the bow. So I think this bow build is actually fairly good for defense. I was talking about trafficking. What, drug trafficking? Yeah, that's pretty bad. I was in a debate one time with somebody who was like, well, did you know all the drugs come at a port of entrance, so we don't need to build a wall? And I was like, well, the ones we know, the ones we know that we caught went through a port of entrance, but what about all the ones we never caught? And obviously there's plenty of ones we never caught, because where are the drugs coming from? Here, let me go ahead and lower this. I don't know if that's exactly what you were talking about, though. I'm too depressed to get a girlfriend. Well, you're going to need some of my male vitality pills that I will be adding as my merchandise. I'll be like the InfoWars Alex Jones guy. Terra Squad says, I've been trying to figure this out. If light is supposed to be one of the fastest things, how did the darkness get there first? Oh my god. It's just the absence of light, right? Can I give you some sardines? What if I sold sardines as merchandise? Oh, that'd be dumb. They'll be like these YouTubers selling energy drinks. I'll sell sardines. All right, let's see if anyone's posted. Events. Ode to the Destruction. All right, we'll play one. Monster Hunter is my girlfriend. Chapa Khan says, pronounced Chapa Khan, doing great. Appreciate all the help from your vids. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. You know, I haven't really been posting a lot of videos. It's not that I haven't been working a lot. I've been splitting my time pretty evenly these days between my card channel and my YouTube channel. I'm just kind of like a full-time streamer now. Women is for losers. I got a dog. God Terror Boy says, oh, I'm sorry. Lust says, Gameconomist be in every stream. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. God Terror Boy says, Culture out the body pillars and My Little Kieran t-shirts. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. My Little Kieran, huh? Do you believe in God? I believe in Uh-huh, I believe in God, your God in particular. We're of the same religion. Derwin says, you can't have merch, you don't have a wacky catchphrase. Oh, I need a catchy.
I was made for loving you, baby. You were made for loving me, and I can't get enough of you.
Oh my God.
Baby, can you get enough of me?
I was made for loving you, baby. You were made for loving me, and I can't get enough of you, baby. Can you get enough of me? I don't recognize that one, Cheese. I was made for loving you, baby. Yeah, it almost sounds familiar, but I don't know it. Andrew, oh my gosh. Andrew with the big Deep Pockets donation. He says, your Monster Hunter videos have been really useful. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, man. And by the way, if you want your donation to show up on the screen the way Jesus did, you can do that using the Streamlabs link when you make the donation. But man, that is crazy. Thank you so much for the donation. Holy shimolies, man. Holy hex. Wow, so that was from Andrew Pino. Man, thanks so much, man. Shamar says, hello, what's the best decorations for Ruiner Nergigante armor? Is a really odd question that you're asking me that makes me think that you're still learning the game. Usually you don't wear one armor set. Usually you mix armor sets to get all the skills you want. And then there are decorations that are much better than other decorations. For example, there's one I got, was it on the Xbox, PlayStation, or PC? I can't remember. Might have been like on the PC. And it's the Weakness Exploit Vitality decoration. Can we have the session ID? Asks Sacred Trinity. Here you go. Session ID. Whoa, it filled up, dude. We are full. Anyone know which is the best, most enjoyable weapon? Well, we know which weapons get used the most, so the longsword actually gets used the most. However, we found out from the speedrunner tier list provided by what's the Sykin, the Sykin website, we discovered that longswords are not the highest damage weapon in the game, and that bows and heavy bowguns do really good for damage. I'm gonna shoot this guy. I'm supposed to have my stamina drink, but you know, I think I'm gonna run without the stamina drink tonight because I'm just playing so casually. There's no reason to like go hard. Anyone know which is most enjoyable weapon? It's a song from the rock band Kiss. I probably know it. Dude, that still reached me. I probably know it. I probably just need to hear it. Was wondering, how much exhaust damage values do you get out of the greatsword? I noticed proc them often, and is exhaust secret worth it? Oh, that's a great question. Exhaust secret is a skill that I don't think anybody knows a lot about yet. One of those things nobody really talks about. Generally, people do not spec for exhaust, but maybe there will be a reason to, or maybe it's been overlooked. God damn, dude, I'm getting interrupted. Speaking of being exhausted. Yeah, we need that extra stamina, to be honest. We're running out of stamina fast. What are my thoughts on wrestling? That's not real wrestling. I don't really watch it. I think it's funny as hell that the guy who runs the WWE is a friend of Donald Trump, and that I think he was asked to help advise on the economy. Like, what? I think that's actually true. I heard that somewhere. Anyways, it wouldn't surprise me. What platform is this? This is Patrick. He's playing on the Game Boy. Hammer Ledge Hop takes over versus Ledge Hop. I beat Extreme at the solo with high rank hunting horn and high rank armor. Sadly, my video file got corrupted, so I can't get that sweet roll of Extreme. Oh, that sucks, man. Yeah, I gotta have the video evidence. This is the only way we can prove that it really happened. God, I've been hit every time. Oh, it is on my wheel. Wrestling more like soap opera. Have you guys seen the South Park episode where they make fun of it? It's so funny. I was looking through your videos and remember you had spoken of revisiting the Clutch Claw build. I couldn't find the video. Have you or will you do another Clutch Claw build? We did 2 Clutch Claw videos.
But I don't care what they say, I am in love with you. They try to pull me away, but they don't. Know the truth, my heart's crippled by the vein that I keep on closing. You cut me open and I keep bleeding love.
What? I keep bleeding, keep bleeding love. Is that how that one goes? I have no clue. Why opt for glider mantle GC? The glider mantle allows you to hold more decorations, basically. Boop. Probably should have put the thorn pods on his head, huh? What am I thinking? Oh, he's dead. Spare Gigante, he is just in search of lamp. That's right. I noticed you got this music on a loop.
Yeah, I did.
It's okay. You gotta keep playing. You gotta keep making your stuff in Animal Crossing. You tired? Is it too much? Any more Tarantula Island? Are you gonna do Tarantula Island anymore?
You know, I've been investing in bells. Partners.
You've been investing, so you're rich?
I'm gonna be rich.
Are you in the investor quadrant?
That's right. That's it. Pay these taxes.
As someone who does watch wrestling, the CEO of WWE's wife owns a super PAC for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is in the WWE HOF, Hall of Fame. Dude, I don't know why that's so funny. Oh, man. That's funny as hell. How is aiming in controller? I can't seem to get used to it when I'm using the bow. You know, that's so weird because I try to imagine myself aiming with like a keyboard and mouse, and it sounds impossible. That's hard for me to imagine. Undertaker's no longer undefeated. There isn't a meta armor set. The meta sets right now are mixed sets. That's right. What's the hardest quest for me? The one that bores me the most, because what'll end up happening is I won't lose, but I'll stop playing. Do you think Capcom is going to... Ooh, what is going on here?
Hey man, love ya streams about exhaust only certain attack supply blunt, mainly Hornets. Best for it, also it won't work at all while the monster is enraged, so it's pretty pointless at the moment. Keep up the good work.
And honestly, that's probably why nobody's talking about it. You know, I haven't heard anybody else getting all excited about exhaust. So when you don't hear anybody getting excited about something like exhaust, it's probably because it's like it's not important enough to talk about. So the drilling status on a monster is more exciting to talk about, right? All right, let's go ahead and see what else people have posted. Hey you. Time for me to play the bow badly. Achy breaky heart. Glitterous is furious. How about events? The moon is a harsh queen. Hunt Reijing. All right, we're going to go ahead and join Achy breaky. Have you ever carded 30 times in a day? My team was carding all day. I've definitely triple carded in really embarrassing ways. So that's happened to me. But I don't know about counting all the way up to 30. Am I going to stream tomorrow on the 21st on my birthday? I'm getting Xbox Gold so we could hunt together. Well, this is my second Xbox stream right now. I'm supposed to do a different console after this one. But you know what? When we come back to the Xbox, we could definitely play together then, right? Luxurion says, with that bow thing, I feel the same. I tried using bow on a friend's PC account and it almost killed me. I normally play games with key and mouse, but I'm so used to controller with bow. Oh, nice. Yeah, you know, I really never really... I played one game with key and mouse and keyboard, and that would be StarCraft 2. I played that for a while, probably like a full month, and I was getting pretty good at it, actually. But then I stopped. I think I was having back problems back then. I was young, too. I think I was 20. And the problem was, I was sitting on the floor with no backrest. And I would sit there for like 8 hours with no backrest, and I would get back pain after doing that. And I finally went to a doctor because the back pain was so bad. And he was like, oh, yeah, it's because you're sitting with no backrest. So I stopped playing after that, and I had to do almost like physical therapy on myself. Yeah, I get addicted to games pretty bad. How difficult will Elytron be? He gonna be easy. He's a black dragon. What do you think? Clutch Claw for president? Maybe. That's right. Clutch Claw president. Donald Clutch Claw. Terror Gang. Oh, man. Oh, man. Can't wait for U.S. politics. We got to vote in November. Are you guys excited? What is it, April? So we got May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Sounds like a long time, but it's not, guys. We'll be there in no time. Maybe GE isn't tsundere as we thought. Oh, I'm tsundere. Dan, I don't fully even understand what that knows or what that means. Know what that means. That's what I was trying to say. Adam says Landon died 120 times before he died. I think it boils down to what you grew up. Never really had a console, so I'm kind of used to mouse and keyboard. Yeah, I guess the very first time I got into gaming, it was on little, what were they called? Like Tiger handheld devices. This was like pre-Game Boy. And then I played the Nintendo Entertainment System, and my father brought home like floppy disks, and I played lots of games on the PC with floppy disks back when you used MS-DOS. So it was a long time ago, man. It's crazy to think that kids will never experience that. I actually, as time goes by, I feel older and older, actually. Like legit old. I used MS-DOS when I was a kid. What? People don't even know. Half of you guys don't even know what MS-DOS is. You're all used to having, Microsoft Windows and whatever your cell phone uses. TGC is the only person who would be excited about voting. I wish I could donate, but I don't have enough money. Lex, do not worry. If you don't have enough money, you just take care of yourself. I'm finding myself very limited in my builds due to the inefficient slots on the Silver Rathalos armor. 1, 2, 3. Oops, I missed. That's embarrassing. TheGameconomist. Getting older and older. It'll happen to you too. Raging Blasty Chidios? What? Pokemon trading card game for PC and Game Boy Color was the best. Heck yeah, man. Oh, how did that miss? All right, so it looks like without the dash juice, I'm better off not using my Evade over and over again. It uses too much. It goes through my stamina too quickly. It's not as efficient. I should be running dash juice though to get the most damage out. Oh god. Sappy Blast Bow, if you can show your build. If so, can you show your build? Oh, this is the light break bow. That's what it is. Wouldn't Dalamadur last endgame boss be the best? I want Dalamadur! No man, we need Gore Magala! 2, 3. Remember the time when Apple was Macintosh? Uh-oh. You better not. Hey, mister! Oops. That worked. What is some advice you have for starting Guiding Lands? Alright, so if you want to be... I do have some Guiding Lands tips videos. So first of all, if you go watch one of those videos, you know what you could do? You could turn it on like 2 times speed. YouTube lets you watch videos faster. You could just speed through all the tips real fast and pick those up. But for Guiding Lands, if you're starting it for the first time... Man, Guiding Lands is so boring. So incredibly boring. I don't want to even have to think about it to give tips out. Isn't that bad? Basically, you will want to stick to monsters that are exclusive to the zone you're trying to level. You'll want to make sure that you level just the zone that you're trying to level. Don't try to do, you know, don't run around and fight monsters from random areas. Make sure that once you reach the level cap for the guiding lands, that you're not focusing on the guiding lands anymore. Don't waste your time in the guiding lands. You can work on your optionals to raise your master rank level and then unlock a higher cap. And then bring the geologist decorations, probably the number... Oh, this can't play. That'll demonetize me. What, you turning on demonetization music?
Well, actually, it picks up the manga.
Hold on. Sorry. I got it, guys. My wife turning on all this music. Alright, I'm fixed. I'm sorry. So you'll want to bring the geologist decoration. One level of it will let you pick up a lot of materials twice. And then after that, just break the parts on the monster, capture them, place their traps down. There's this new thing called a banishing ball. I don't know how you obtain it, but you can use it to get rid of a monster you don't like. Just get out there, man. Go watch those videos. I don't want to have to remember Guiding Lands. Guiding Lands is like a bad memory for me now. Dumbledore's the Rotten Veil, though his blue flame's still there. Arch-Tempered Char was a thing the mixtape beam would insta-kill. We should make a short name for terror like Gameco. Hey, hello Gameconomist, says Victor. Hello. Lore-wise, Fatalis is the strongest. Guiding Lands is fun if you don't need to level. I don't agree. I think it's super boring. Canned Avocado says, what endgame is better, base or Iceborne? Base game, because it had introduced Behemoth already. 12 hours into FF10, and I have yet to leave Besaid for the first time? What? Thoughts on Monster Hunter World on the Nintendo Switch? I think it could have potential. There's a very, very, very good chance that's exactly what they're going to do, because they're going to try and cash in on their game that they worked very hard on. Is what I would be planning on doing. So Monster Hunter on the Switch is probably going to happen. Do you have a preference on which areas in Guiding Lands to level up? Which areas in Guiding Lands to level up? I don't really... You need to do all of them, is the truth. So some people will say do one over the other, but there's no point in saying that. You need to level all of them, and then once you have them leveled, what you need to do is fight every exclusive monster in that area. That's what you need to do. God damn, dude. He's so annoying. Hey, mister. Actually, you know, I don't really want to listen to Minecraft right now. I've heard this music too much. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to turn on this 9 Inch Nails music. I'm not even... Oh, but I'm still going to die. What are you doing? You trying to sleep out here? Yeah, you are. You're reading? What are you reading? Uh-huh. Alright, there we go. How's it going, Trey Franks? You meld the Banishing Ball. Oh, it's melded. Okay. Fatalis at Cakewalk. Do you know who Subtronics is? I don't. Greetings from the UK. It's 4 a.m. here, and I've lost sense of time thanks to the quarantine. I know, right? Because you don't have to go to work. You don't have to go to school the same way. You just stay at home and sleep when you're sleepy and stuff like that. Actually, you know, humans didn't always... Well, anyways, I won't get into that stuff. It is a different subject. But I was basically going to say, in the past, you didn't always just go to sleep on a set schedule. Sometimes you worked at night. I guess it's still true today. Hey, mister, can I have free Pokemon cards? Hey, mister, got any free Pokemon cards for me, mister? We're like cutting the Hidden Fates packs in half. And this guy's like, well, I'll take the cut cards. It's so desperate. Don't you run out of materials from the Guiding Lands? You can, well... You can craft more of them if you're capable of trading them with the Elder Melder with certain materials you don't need, maybe. But yeah, you can run out of Guiding Lands materials. It's so annoying. It's very simple to obtain. It's in the Elder Melder. It's hidden away, but it's there. Nice. Is there a particular zone in the Guiding Lands that you find the least atrocious? No, they all suck. All areas of the Guiding Lands are bad. TGC... Where are those free Pokemon cards? I don't have any. Actually, somebody got a free Pokemon card today. So we did a giveaway where I gave away a chance for somebody to win a booster pack valued at like $220, and they actually won it. They actually won the giveaway. They had like a 1 in 23 odds of winning it, and they did. So that was pretty wild. Only 3 more days until Master Rank Cove. Yup, sounds good, Mole Sauce. Hey, mister, adopt me. I'm barely called GTB. Epic idea, Monster Hunter trading card game. Yeah, you know, if Capcom got serious, you know, I'd think about collecting that. Two, three. Free Alakazam, that's right. GC has called me GTB once. 2 more days for me. Haha, I got it earlier. What? What do you prefer, bow or hammer? I've been playing hammer since Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and I wanted to try something different. It just depends on... They're both really fun, so just play whichever one you want. Stop thinking about it. Just grab one and start playing. I mean, you can like go into the training room and mess around with them and think which one feels better. How much money for an ASMR stream? How would I do an ASMR stream? I don't even know. Ever had connection issues while playing Monster Hunter? If so, got any advice? Hold on, let me read that again. It's Gameconomist, not Game Economist. Oh, it bugs me. People can't get that right. That's right, guys. What the heck? This guy's scaring me. Woo! We're fine. Oh, ever had connection issues while playing? If so, got any advice? Don't play on PC if you don't want to have connection issues. No, I haven't really had any problems other than the... Did I say Xbox? I meant PC. So I haven't had any problems on Xbox or PlayStation. Those are both really strong. But PC has been really tough. I think we have regular disconnects on PC. Of course, it's free on PC, right? You don't have to pay any subscription service. Anyone else hoping for all the Master Rank layered armor set next update? Boom Economist, that's right. Y'all remember when his stream died and we were threatening to raid Spectrum? What? This guy's so close to dying. Alright, I'm getting out of this. 2, 3. Come on, TGE, become cart economist. Oh, I know, right? I'm supposed to be carting. To the person asking about the guiding lands, most of your materials, if you can do it for your rarity 12 weapons, come from the Stygian Zygerde and Nergigante, both tempered. So if I were you, one of the regions I would level would be the Tundra. You should you really ought to level all 6 areas and fight the exclusive monsters in each area. It's very important to do that. Miscellaneous says, I mean, if you want to actually be able to craft everything, like all your charms, stuff like that, right? What's your favorite specific hunt? Not what monster has the best hunt, but your most memorable specific hunt. This one, Raging Brachydios. For some reason, my game crashes when I fight Furious Raging. I know... IG, he really doesn't like getting his ass clapped by the hammer. Cart economist plus fortitude equals OP. There is a Monster Hunter card game already, but only in Japan. Oh, I see. Not sure if you know the answer, but Monkey Palico armor from Furious Raging, how do you get it? They showed it off on the dev diary and I don't have it. The Monkey Palico armor? I assume you just fight Furious Raging. NPC? How's it going, NPC? Daddy, please carry me through Bracky Hunt. I mean, if I can join, sure. Do you have a hunter name in game? Anti-blast, protection, grinder, expert. Grinder? Wow, only 300 viewers? Those are rookie numbers. Why are you so hidden away over there reading your stuff? Oh, I can turn the light off. Here, let me turn the light off. Trying to block the light. There you go. Oh, that's too dark. Is that better? Yeah. Is it the blue light or the yellow light?
No, this is good.
Or I could do this.
That's better.
Oh my god. That's better. What's today? Is today Monday? Ah, it is Monday. Bleh. Another day of work, man. Hello from Puerto Rico. Hi, I'm from Brazil. Alright, let's run over here. Oops, wait a second. This isn't what I want. Oop, that's not what I want either. His wife reading the Communist Manifesto. Okay, we'll do this one. Why not? Do I think Monster Hunter will go cross-platform soon? If it does, I'm just going to stop playing on my other consoles, and I'll probably stick... Well, I don't know. I think I will just play from my Xbox character. He's the most invested in character, so I'll just probably play from that from then on. But I don't think they will, and I don't think they should. I think that they should focus on bringing out more monsters. Hey, I want to do another shout out for Andrew Pino once again for his generous donation at the very beginning of the stream. All right, so NPC says gamertag Rose. Oh wait. Are you here right now? Oh, I'm really bad at this. I'm on Xbox. Boink, Chelly, Yui. Alright, so in order for me to help you, I gotta get you in here first, okay? So see if you can... Usually people come and go as they play. See if somebody leaves you a spot open. Guys, let's try to get some help for Rosalina. If a spot opens up, if you would let Rosalina in, okay? Alright, we're gonna continue on with this quest. I can't boot anybody, because I go with first come, first serve, okay? Let's choose... I guess Chef's Choice Platter. NPC. Hello from New York. It's Corona time. How's it going, DLP? Dark Lord Pongo? Hi, I'm from Brazil. Hello from Brazil. Where are you in the game? I am in the Guiding Lands. This is the Guiding Lands. This is why it's so boring. There's no monsters. What about a Monster Hunter game where you play as monsters through their lifespan? Imagine not being in the session. I know, right? I doubt there will be crossplay. Maybe in the next game, you must cart to do your part. Oh my god. Rosalina is the hottest Nintendo character, not gonna lie. Weary Gamer says, can you help me kill Anjanath, please? Yeah, I mean, if you guys need help, just post your quests, and I will be looking for quests to help you guys out with. Oh, I see what you're saying, Matt. Maybe somebody in the session or in the live stream can answer your question, because I actually have no clue. I actually don't care a whole lot about Palico armor, so I never paid attention. Wait, what is the full bloom platter? I've never seen that. Oh, we should take a look then. Putting these barrel bombs down by him. By the way, do I have the dash juice? I bet I don't. No, no dash juice. So unsatisfying. Alright, whatever. Imagine taking 17 minutes on a Raging Bracky. Well, I'm definitely not playing my best. I'm reading these comments and, you know, I'm not really using dash juice or proper coatings or anything like that. So they're, you know, I'm definitely one of the players not doing their part. Oh, that still hit me. Jesus. And he's already knocked down. How's it going, Slade? Have you collected all the rare endemic life? No, I've not done that. Alright. Nobody at all is softening his head. So let's start working on that. Too early. We're all overlooking the real menace in Monster Hunter World, the cactus thing that runs around the Wildspire. Ouch. You gonna jump? Perfect time. Oh! Alright. So we gotta soften this. Wait, did we soften the wing or the head? I think we softened the wing. One, two. That's not what I meant to do. Oh, that's not what I meant to do either. God damn it. It's not listening to my button input. There we go. This is what I'm trying to do right here. Ouch. That's the explosion. Oh, it hit Cardos too. Interesting. So if you are standing close enough to a teammate, it gets them too. I think I stopped him with the bomb. The bomb pod. Is he still leaving? He's still leaving. Where am I from? I'm from the United States, Missouri. Why are you using blast bow against everything? Because I'm lazy. I thought I was the only one that uses bow. How to unlock augmentation. Cactuar has to be the best crossover ever. He's pretty fun. I am Batman. He's pretty much dead. What up, Gameconomist? How do you like the Bracky bow compared to Safi bow? It's like a million times better. It's the new meta. It's the new meta. Yvonne says now only we can have some Cactuar-inspired armor, layered armor. That would be interesting. Bro, I'd rock that. Bayonetta is hot. Bayonetta. Yeah, she's pretty sexual. Yeah, Nintendo has a history of making pretty sexual characters, right? Like, it's not just Bayonetta, but consider, like, the Metroid character, Samus, right? Samus is pretty sexy, pretty smexy. Needs more greatsword. Let's run this way. Hey, I found your stream. How's it going, King Taco? King Taco, this is my main channel. So we do our little 50-person stream on the card channel. But this is my main channel. We will hit up to like 500 viewers after a while. Not always, but usually about 500. Usually tops off around there. Fan says, you know that Pierce 3 actually got more ticks on PC due to the higher frame rates, so their damage output is on par with Spread. What? Due to the higher frame rates? Dude, that's nuts. That's crazy. I did not know that. I'll have to keep that in mind. What do I think of Tomb Raider collaboration? I wouldn't care for it. There's nothing about it that gets me super excited. I mean, obviously what we need for a collaboration is a Minecraft collaboration. A game that people actually play a lot of. Nobody's playing Tomb Raider right now. We gotta have the End Dragon or Ender Dragon, and we need to have the Wither, and we need to have the bow from Minecraft, and the crossbow from Minecraft, and the diamond sword, and the pickaxe as a hammer. It would be such an amazing crossover. It would blow everyone's mind. But they haven't done it. They have not done... Oh, this monster is going to get us killed for sure. Get on my right here. TGC, there's rumors about the unused monster body for Ancient Leshen and Leshen might be used again for Nemesis Stage 1 from Resident Evil. That would be very cool if they did that. Excuse me, I'm the cheese you dip your chip in. TCC, so basically I'm just a side piece. These are your main peeps. Well, these are my main peeps, sure, but a lot of people from this main channel actually came over to the card channel. So a lot of them learned about, you know, the Pokemon card channel from here. And then, you know, I have people who also found my card channel completely independent of this channel. So you guys don't know that this is what I mainly do. Oh, she's getting knocked over. Oh, she's already softened. God, man, I wish I had the dash juice. The real crossover we need is Pokemon where we could catch and fight monsters. That would be very cool. That is not incorrect. That would be very cool. Ga-ding, ding, 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 ding.
Your thoughts on the Monster Hunter movie coming out this September? Gonna be good, bad, mediocre?
Probably gonna be pretty bad. It is probably gonna be pretty bad. But that's okay. I'll still watch it and review it, and I'll pretend that it's the best movie I've ever seen. I'll do it for you guys. I'll do it for... What do they call it? For the fandom. She's gonna roar any second. You ready? I'm scared, man. She's gonna roar any second, and she's gonna wipe us out with her ult. I'm actually... Ooh, she been knocked down. Take it all back. What do I know? That is her drooling. Ever thought about getting into speedrunning? I have thought about it, but you know, if I got into the speedrunning, I just could not talk to you guys like this, like the way we do right now. So it would be a very different experience watching my live streams. And I think that we might have the most successful Monster Hunter live stream there is right now, with our average of 500 viewers. I've been watching Twitch, I've been keeping an eye on YouTube. This basically is one of the largest live streams for Monster Hunter there is. So I'm not sure if I'm interested in changing our formula, you know what I mean? I actually like talking to you guys while we play. Ever thought about getting into speedrunning? Do you love me? Of course I do. It has one of my favorite actresses in it. That movie is going to be so bad that it will be amazing. We have to protect the fandom. I hate the idea of a Monster Hunter movie. Absolutely hate it. What about a Yu-Gi-Oh crossover? What's a Yu-Gi-Oh? No, I'm just teasing. Do you like guiding lands? If so, what do you think is... Oh, gun lands. What do you think is the best? Wide, long, or normal? I'm still a big fan of long shelling. Woo! She got me knocked down. Yep. Because of the part break. Instead of speed running, people should do weed running. That's right. 42020, blaze it. Can we see your bow build? No, this is impossible. It's not possible for you to see it. The heck you say to me? Alright, let's go ahead and have our Mega Potion. Man, I could listen to this music all day, the same song. Can you help me kill Barrieth? I can help anyone, but you have to be in the session, and then you have to post your quest, and then I will give you some help, okay? That's right, we're going to do slow running. That's a good term, we should coin it. We should turn it into a keyword, slow running. Speed running, slow running. TCC, message me later, okay? Okay. You know, actually, King Taco, there's a whole bunch of messages that I just never respond to. I get a bunch of messages, and half the time I look at them, and I'll be like, I simply cannot answer all the messages. So a lot of the times I just don't answer them. I get too many at this point. There's like every day you just get a list of messages, and I look at them, and if the person who's talking to me doesn't just say what they mean to say, then I just kind of let them sit there. And I was like, you know what? If it's really important, they'll say it. You know what I mean? And that's not true, you know, for everyone. Like my mods, if it's a moderator contacting me, I read it immediately. Like, oh, this is important. $1,000 dragons. That's right. He can be thrown into a wall again. We'll make a pod here. Should have been a pod. Where'd it fall? Actually, I don't see the pod. Why did it just dive evade? It makes no sense, dude. Oh, and he's mad. Alright, well, that's okay. Go ahead and take that off. Woo! It's ready to be grabbed. What do you think of the Resident Evil 2 remake collaboration? The pendants are cool as hell. The pendants are very cool. However, I don't really care too much about pendants. What bothers me is that we are lacking really difficult endgame monsters. You guys are just going to hear me parroting the same idea over and over again. Capcom needs to stop putting out the fluff and start putting out the hot stuff. That's my opinion right now. No more fluff, bring out the hot stuff. When 1,000 dragons doesn't do 1,000 damage, then that's a 1,000 shame. Monster Hunter World or Pokemon? Pick one. Monster Hunter. Well, I enjoy the cards as a physical investment like gold and silver. It's very different from playing games. But if you're talking about playing games, it's going to be Monster Hunter because right now, Pokemon Sword and Shield did not end up impressing me that much. It's definitely made for children. No voice acting, poor quality graphics, poor quality animation, half the Pokedex missing. Not really a good end game either. You just do Battle Tower and PvP. Although the PvP is really fun at a professional level. If you've ever watched like professionals play, it's really cool. We need hard AF monsters that won't be prone to getting knocked down repeatedly and wailed on. Well, yeah, you know, like we just throw monsters into the wall like it's nothing. Bruh! Capcom needs to unleash some stupid strong monsters and some good armor sets. Well, the armor sets are actually all pretty good. So Capcom's done a terrific job providing a fair number of a fair number of skills that you can go after, that bonus skills in Iceborne. I think that is pretty well designed. It's just the monsters. So we have all this powerful armor and all these powerful weapons and nothing to do with it. There's nothing to do with it, right? We're all super OP and we can't do anything. Good old Platinum and Emerald are the best. No voice acting, no quality graphics or animations, no quality endgame. Sounds like you're talking about pre-World Monster Hunter. Well, I know, right? The game's made in 2019, but it plays like a game from 2015 or 2010 even. That's how far back. It's crazy. Hey game, I got bored playing Monster Hunter World Iceborne. I don't know what to do since I'm a heavy bowgun specialist and not interested in other weapons. Please help. Dawn, the solution is to learn another weapon. So the very beginning of learning another weapon is always a little bit difficult and a little bit frustrating. But if you're not willing to branch out to the other 13 weapon classes, you're playing 1/14 of the game, in my opinion. So you got to use all 14 weapons, not just one, all 14. So that's my answer. I think the monsters are hard enough already. Is the equipment power scaling that's too big? Well, that's exactly... Oh, you think it's the monsters are hard enough? No, I don't think so. The monsters are not that hard at all. If I can put on Fortitude and beat just about every monster with Fortitude, then the game's actually easy. The armor is super good. That's right. The armor is actually very, very strong in Iceborne. What we need... See, you can have a lot of skills now. It wasn't like that in the base game. In the base game, if you put on defense, you gave up a lot of offense. Now you can have pretty much all your offense, like the crit boost, weakness exploit, and crit eye, and still have room for... Well, look at my build. I'll show you. Look at my build. We have room for crit eye, blast attack, agitator, divine blessing, health boost, crit boost, weakness exploit, spread power shot, normal shot, constitution, bow charge plus. Like, it's stronger than ever. It's actually that they don't really offer us too much to do for veterans. Veterans don't have anything to do right now. None of these fights are real, like, mind-blowing. The hardest fight in the game is still Extreme Behemoth, and I've said that over and over and over again. People ask me all kinds of questions like, what's your favorite monster? People ask, what are we going to have in the future? What does Iceborne need? It's real simple. Iceborne needs to have a difficulty that's suitable for veteran players. And we're going to be getting that finally with Arch-Tempered Namiel, but we're going to have to see if Arch-Tempered Namiel is actually difficult. If they follow the base game, Arch-Tempered Namiel will probably just be a bit more difficult. Not like mind-blowingly more difficult. But we'll see. A says, I like the way to speak. It's chill. I'm using a podcast. Love your videos. Oh, thanks, man. We need Arch-Tempered Dodo. Well, then Fortitude is the problem, not the monster. No, Fortitude's fine. Fortitude's a skill that really helps you in, single player, and I think that's great. But they need to include fights that are so tough that you can't just fortify your way through it. Oh, he wouldn't even have to go after... He wasn't going after me. He was going after this other guy. Oh my god, he's doing it again. Oh, what the heck? My character stopped shooting. Is this dash juice? I want to have my dash juice. I still haven't touched the Behemoth. Lol. I'm hoping endgame change with Master Rank Kolv. Master Rank Kolv and Arch-Tempered Namiel is coming, so that's a decent start. That's right. But they took so long, dude. They took so many months to release these monsters. 2, 3. Oops. We need an Arch-Tempered Behemoth. That's right. We need Arch-Tempered Extreme Master Rank Behemoth. Got him. He flinched? Yeah, we got that good flinch, guys, with those dragon paws. Man, the 1000 Dragon is such a cool move. Imagine being the bow and getting 1000 Dragon, right? And then imagine being the Virgin Lance and getting Counterclaw. A move that everyone pretty much already has. Everyone already has the Clutch Claw. The only reason Counterclaw is useful for the Lance is because the Lance is so slow, it actually could benefit from a faster way. Oh, I was too far away. It can actually benefit from having a move that doesn't require you to sheath. Isn't that terrible? You want to grab onto a monster with the claw with half the weapons? You just do it. You don't need to like have a special move. You just sheath your weapon, run around, and grab on. Easy. Man, it's ridiculous how unfair it is for the Lance. Which is cooler, bow or dual blades? They're both pretty cool. I'm gonna choose bow personally. I'm a bigger fan of ranged weapons. You guys know that I use a lot of heavy bowgun. So I'd probably say the bow. Actually, the reason you don't see me use more bow is because I play with the heavy bowgun so much, I feel kind of satisfied in that regard. Hey, a new member! Woo! Now you have access to the Gameconomist carded emoji. There's a carded emoji that's exclusive to members. Saw Welch says, what about Kolv and Safi? Are those hard? No. Kolv, Taroth, and Safajiva are extremely easy. They're designed so that you can basically just join a lobby and be carried. So they're very, very easy. Fan says, speaking of Namiel, the whole deal behind her dehydration mechanic was just found out recently and is pinned in the news channel. Oh, sweet. I need to read that. Here comes the Lance criticism. That's right. I gotta trash the Lance. To the Ancient Lesson is the hardest monster in the Monster Hunter world for you to meet. Tigrex Heavy Bowgun, what can you say? Don't use it. How do people ever find out this stuff, fan? Probably they did it on the PC using mods, as well as people who do data mining. How's it going, gaming enthusiast? He says I'm off work. Nice. Crow using the carded emoji. If Fortitude activates, then that means the monster was hard because you freaking carded. I see what you're saying, but it's like, it's not hard because you just come back and beat him. So it's like, if you just come back from the fight and easily win, it's not difficult. Mike Spine says, I'm just getting into Lance recently due to Sophajiva raids, actually, and I'm starting to get into it. Yeah, it's not that I haven't played the Lance. Let me show you my Lance playtime, guys. So I'm very critical of the Lance because I believe, even more than the Hunting Horn, the Lance is the weapon that is most deserving of a buff right now. That's my beliefs. And so I talk trash on the Lance just to bring awareness on how bad it is right now compared to the other weapons, because I want Capcom to balance it. I want it to be on par with the bow. Why shouldn't the Lance be on par with the bow? Somebody explain. There's no reason. They should all be roughly about as powerful as each other. There's no good explanation. Now, if there was something special in the game where you could easily pull aggro with the Lance, that would be a different matter. Then you could justify having, a shield and lower damage output. It's not really that way. So if they had like a built-in challenger skill, then that would be a different case. Ghosty Pinks, thanks, man. Man, we got 2 members right off the bat. Crazy. Twitch here says, I used an armor that was dog shite. Carl says, any recommendation for mid-master rank heavy bowgun? Yeah, the Shara Ishvalda heavy bowgun's really good. So is the Rejang heavy bowgun. Woo! Memberships. Crazy. My quest is posted to kill the Fang flying thing. Here, let me come and join it. Hey, you. Oh, this one. Here we go. We're going to help Luigi. No problem, Luigi. That's why we have live streams like this one. Let's go beat up on Barrieth. The Fang's flying thing. Alright, there we go. Was I going to do something? Oh, I was going to show off my Lance gameplay, wasn't I? Alright, check this out. We're going to the guild card. So there it is, the Lance. The Lance is my 5th most used weapon. 5th. There's 14 weapons. The Lance used to be like my 3rd most used, but you can see that the hammer playtime and the hunting horn playtime both surpass it, which is another thing for me to point out. Look at my hunting horn playtime, 948 matches versus 1,000 on the light bowgun. So they're actually very close. So it goes heavy bowgun, light bowgun, and then by a very small margin, hunting horn. Hunting horn's been played a lot by me, and then obviously I'm a fan of the hammer, and then after that is actually the Lance. I've played Lance more than I've played any other melee weapon after hunting horn and hammer. So it's not like I don't have a knowledge of the Lance. It's just it needs to be buffed. That's all there is to it. So I'm going to keep talking about it and pooping on it. And maybe Capcom will do us a big favor and give us a benefit to it. Scavenger. Feline Riser and Feline Macrozoologist. Oh, okay. Interesting. We're going to go with the safeguard. An arch-tempered extreme behemoth will never get done. Oh, man. They should, though. Wouldn't it be crazy? Just give us Extreme Behemoth with twice as much health. He one-shots with every single move, and you have to defeat him in 15 minutes. And then that armor set should give us the sexiest female armor in the entire game. That's what it should give. Trey the Beast says, I think we need monsters like Lucent, Nargacuga, and Bloodbath Diablos to bring some set variety and difficulty. Sure. What's unhealthy at this point? Oh, sticky addiction? Miscellaneous says, why only 77 dual blades? Yeah, so I'm not the biggest fan of dual blades. Dual blades are fun. I played them recently, and I thought that they felt better than I remembered them. So my opinion of dual blades has gone up. My opinion of Lance has fallen. Sword and Shield, I've tried to get into Sword and Shield recently, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't find myself enjoying it. The limited range it forces you into a certain gameplay pattern where you have to use that one approach constantly. I just wasn't such a fan of it. Yeah. Especially because it's not like the sword and shield out damages dual blades. It's not like it out damages great sword. So I just found myself like, why am I using this? Switch axe, my opinion of switch axe has moved up. I think switch axe was feeling real good. Longsword stays roughly the same. Longsword's always going to do well. Let me give something up here. Let's give up God Bug. What don't we need? Well, these are all pretty valuable, but I'm going to give up these empty files. Oh my god, it didn't even turn into a hot... Okay, come on, man. Oh my dear lord. I actually hate hot drinks just like I hate cold drinks. It's just this extra thing you have to constantly keep track of, and I've always said this, I don't consider it fun. And when it comes to game design should always be fun. Always fun, that's the rule. Alright, there we go. Imagine having to spend a minute getting that all sorted out just so that you don't get punished. It's like, what? No skill involved. The only skill is just, you have to drink this thing. That's it. No skill at all. You have to drink hot drink. Why? Because if you don't, we'll punish you. Okay. Let's jump back down. I do be complaining though, don't I? I'm gonna jump on to... Oh, I don't have Raider Rider out here. God damn, dude. Let's find Barriot. He's gonna be running over here. Alright, and it's having me run this way. Perfect. What do I think Lance needs? It needs a damage buff. So does the Hunting Horn. Both Lance and Hunting Horn should have a damage buff. But for the Lance actually needs more help than just a damage buff. I honestly think the Lance should have one more attack combo so that there's a little more variety rather than poke, 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 finishing thrust, which is the current attack pattern you do with the Lance. You do poke, poke, poke. It could be like a, you know, like an upper thrust or whatever, and then you'll go into a dash attack and into a finishing thrust. Of course, oops, let's throw that over there. Come on, Stinky Poopy. Oh, god damn it. Will he reach? No. That sucks. That's my fault. I wasted it. Whoa, where's he landing? Wait, wait, wait. Does he not know we're here still? What? Look at that. He's not aggroed. Oh, wait. Yeah, he knows we're here. No, he knows we're here. He's not aggroed is what's going on. He's not, I'm sorry. He's not in rage. I can't use the right language. Alright, we got 3 claws on his head. So now we just need to do this. Okay. Not the best opening. My bad. Realism, Gameconomist. Realism even if it's a game. Lance need Lance version of Perfect Rush. I think that it just needs a finishing attack. Really does. I think that giving it the counter claw is not impressive at all. No other weapon would really be, you know, like that impressed by having a move that lets you use the claw. Even the hammer, to be honest, using Brutal Big Bang. I don't use Brutal Big Bang dependent on whether or not I want to clutch claw. I just use Brutal Big Bang when it's appropriate to use Brutal Big Bang. And if I decide to combo into the claw, then I just do that as bonus. But I still strictly use Brutal Big Bang when it's appropriate. Otherwise, I use a different move, like the, can't remember the name of the combo, regular Big Bang, spinning bludgeon, whatever it is, right? So I don't make a decision based on the claw at all. Ouch. Ouch. Let's go ahead and get the Null Berry. We don't want to be iced. Oh my god. Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. Woo! We made it. Alright, he's exhausted. I'm gonna grab this. Alright, I guess we're throwing him into a wall. That was not expected. Rawr! So let's see what you guys are saying. I always felt like the hunting horn needs better agility, mobility options, along with better openings for dodging. Yeah, Lance Main, I say it needs more. How hard is Ruin and Gigante? He's pretty easy. They are easy getting a competent team together. That's the problem. The pokes could deal multiple damage like piercing. This monster is friendly with longsword. How do you think Trump is handling this whole thing? I think he's doing fine. Actually, when you take a look at the United States has done better than most of Europe in terms of the death rate for coronavirus. So I think America has done fine. Also, I don't think that is really Donald Trump doing much of anything. Donald Trump just talks. That's all he really does. It's our experts, like our doctors, and our, we have like a really expensive capitalist health system, but I mean, look at us. We're doing all right, People hate healthcare in America. They only have critical things to say about it, but it's actually not that. Despite the fact that Americans are quite unhealthy, our death rate has not been too bad. So what does that tell you, right? So our health system seems to be managing it, and like I said, I don't think Donald Trump's doing much more than just talking, to tell you the truth. I am a little nervous about releasing the lockdown too early, but, I'm consciously optimistic that people will be able to go back to work and maintain enough distance from each other and have enough equipment to not spread the virus too quickly, because it'll keep spreading. The virus is not done spreading. The virus is going to spread until we have a vaccine for it. And even then, do you really want to be the guinea pig for this next vaccine? Maybe if you think you're very high risk of dying to the illness, the virus. So we have treatments that everyone's working on, and we have a vaccine that they're saying maybe it'll be ready by next year. All that's in place. But as for right now, people want to get back to work. I'm lucky. See, I can work from home, from YouTube. And so I'm real lucky in that way. My wife also, as an engineer, a computer science engineer, doing software for a company, she's able to work every day. But I'm just trying to imagine people out of work for 3 weeks. Business owners, small business owners, basically going bankrupt. It's too much, man. And people are like, well, it's just money, right? People will say, it's just money. We got to save lives. It's not actually just money. People are dying from an economic collapse, too. So not here in America, not yet anyways. But here in America, usually you can get by being poor in America and not be too troubled. So first of all, when you're poor in America, it does have effects on your health and your well-being, right? Stress, anxiety, that's unhealthy for you. But also, when you really look at it, people in other countries, third world countries and developing countries that depended on the United States and the first world for work, those guys, they don't have a social welfare net. So when something goes wrong in the economy, they just starve to death. So people really do die if we don't get back to work. And I think it's hypocritical of people to say, well, we just need to keep the economy shut down because that'll be better than getting back to work. No, I think sort of like a mixed... Dust alive? Okay, he's fine. I think a mixed solution is the best solution. People should be able to go back to work as long as they're able to practice really good social distancing. I think it's actually very important for them to go back to work. So, but yeah, in terms of how Donald Trump has done, what has he actually done? He just talks, honestly. It's the same for all the leaders, by the way. All leaders basically just talk. They can make some financial decisions. The financial decisions that the United States government is going to make is simple. Print a ton of money and buy a bunch of bad equity. So that's basically what they're going to do. Offer liquidity or whatever, right, to the banks who they have bills to pay, and the government says, oh, we'll pay the bills for you. You'll owe us. So that's what's going on there, and it's fine. I guess that's exactly what I expect any president to do. I don't think that he's done anything super unusual. Also, all the criticism he got over defunding the WHO, but now you've got the G7 summit, which is all of the important countries also defunding the WHO. Saying, or well, not defunding it. I don't know if they're defunding it, but they're definitely saying we want an investigation. So it wasn't just him. It was actually a lot of people talking about that. And the Democrats, despite all this, they will almost certainly use the coronavirus as a way to attack Donald Trump. They'll say something along the lines of, he literally killed everyone. It was his fault. So actually, Nancy Pelosi, she did this recent interview where she was talking about how irresponsible he was and how he caused blah 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 this and that by not acting early enough. And then the guy who was doing the interview with Nancy Pelosi, he was like, "But didn't you actually tell people to come out to Chinatown or something like that in Los Angeles and hang out or something like that?" It's so ridiculous. We're just going to blame our politicians for causing the coronavirus because that's what's politically expedient. That's basically the game. It's like you got to blame each other for everything. It's like, dude, how about blaming the source of the virus and the virus? It's like getting hit by a tornado and then blaming the other political party for the tornado. If Donald Trump had only acted sooner, it's like, dude, it's the tornado. What do you want? All right, we got you, Luigi. So, you know, if it had been a Democratic president and they had roughly similar results as Donald Trump, I'd be fine with how it is too. People were definitely going to die. Like, that's what all the experts were saying. And if you want to criticize someone, maybe we should be criticizing the WHO for saying that there was no human-to-human transmission and that China had control of the virus, despite the Communist Party knowing ahead of time that there was human-to-human transition and saying nothing to the rest of the world. Maybe we should talk about that rather than going after our own political parties, which is, again, that's just what's going to happen because that's the game. It doesn't matter how good or bad of a job Donald Trump was going to do. Nancy Pelosi is going to say he's doing a shit job and that he's a terrible person and kill people. That's what they would both probably would have done. CNN made an article on it, defunding the WHO. You mean my generation, the WHO? No, the World Health Organization. Well, obviously Trump should have used his magic to stop it. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like the United States didn't actually do that bad of a job with the death rate for the virus. There were a lot of places in Europe that had it much worse than we did, and that's really impressive. The United States is not well known for being especially healthy, you know. They hate Trump, but their expectations are very high. They want Trump to be Superman. Well, they just want him to lose. They're all fighting for power. And it's not just power, they're fighting for a job. So if Nancy Pelosi doesn't win re-election, she just has no job. So it's like, you're going to say whatever you need to say to keep your own job. It's a little bit ridiculous. I think sometimes politicians go too far. In the 90s, sometimes they went too far. Now it feels like in the year 2020, they just strictly go too far. Your opponent's just this evil, horrible bad guy, and we have to hate each other. You know what I mean? The ideology of the left has really changed. It changed pretty dramatically during like the Obama administration, I'd say. Not right away, but it's just like it slowly started. America started to slowly change during the Obama administration. It's kind of ironic we didn't want Mexico, and now Mexico doesn't want us. I don't know what you mean by that, Sharp. I think what you mean is Mexico doesn't want the spread of the disease, but actually we didn't want any illegal immigration during the outbreak of the coronavirus either. One of our biggest concerns was that we were going to get uncontrolled spread of the virus at the border. So it goes both ways. I've talked to the field leader. I am in Master Rank 99 and nothing. I think he was aiming at where I used to be. Woo! Woo! Ouch. The blame game is politics' favorite weapon. I feel like it's gotten to really dangerous levels in the United States. People really hate each other. God, I'm so tired of being interrupted. We haven't broken his face. But how about Trump's administration seizing PPE from hospitals and selling them to his friend companies with the auctions to the states? Gameconomist, great points on the lance. I will say that I usually finish my combos if I can with the counter thrust. Yeah, so that's the other, like, so you could do like a canceled counter thrust. That's the other way. But if you're talking about optimized damage, then probably you're going to be talking about like the finishing thrust on the dash attack. This get some damage on this guy while we can. Wow, he still hit me with that. That's ridiculous, man. Alright, we gotta get this off of us. Look at that, we're losing a stamina. Well, this fight is dragging on, man. Let's have our dash juice. The US has the highest deaths in the world, though. Shadow Khan, people who say that is because they don't know how to math. That's basically all it is. So all of the super liberal news media say that the United States has the highest death rate. The reason why they say that is because while that's true, we also have a way larger population than the places you're comparing us to, right? So you're not supposed to look at who has the highest total deaths. You're supposed to be looking at who has the highest death per population. See what I'm saying? So if you compare us to an area with 10 people where one person died, you'll say, wow, this place that we're comparing you to only had one person died. And the United States, nice. And the United States had 38,000 or whatever the number is now, right? Wow, Donald Trump is so mishandling this. No, this is basically the news media is basically confusing you with numbers. They're basically manipulating you with numbers. We had the most deaths. It's not about the most deaths. It's about the most deaths per population. So how many people were there? It's about the death rate, not the deaths, not the total deaths. HP says, do you think that the game is boring now because your skill level is higher than most since you played this game longer? The game is boring because Monster Hunter does not offer anything for veteran players to do right now, in my opinion. So in base game, I had already played 3,000 hours in base game, but I still had a lot of fun because I could get on and play Extreme Behemoth, Ancient Leshen, Arch-Tempered Nergigante, Arch-Tempered Zenejiva, and all of those were really fun endgame pieces of content. And it kept me so busy, and I liked helping people. We have nothing like that in Iceborne. What am I supposed to do with you guys? You need help with Shari Shvalda? He's a cakewalk. Shari Shvalda is easy. You don't need help with any of the tempered monsters, I imagine. They're pretty easy. Safajiva, he's difficult, but actually the reward system's extremely easy. You don't even need to win. You just need to be in the lobby. So Safajiva, he's easy. Furious Rajang and Raging Brachydios came out. Just slap on that Fortitude skill, guys. It will go so far for you for beating those monsters. So, you know, if this is supposed to be master rank, like more difficult than the base game, I don't see it. It's roughly the same difficulty, except we haven't even gotten the end game fights yet. So let's see. Awesome. Happy birthday, Miscellaneous. Happy birthday, Miscellaneous. Per capita versus totals, basically. Right. Total deaths versus the actual death rate. So what the media like to say is, look at the total deaths. It's so bad, but when you look at the death rate, it's much lower than many places in Europe. Basically, I think it's just Germany that has a lower death rate than America. Is that right? Somebody look that up. It's just Germany who has a lower death rate. I learned meth, not math. I'm tired of grinding. I think that West Virginia was the last state in the U.S. with 0 cases for a while there, but our population is almost non-existent. Ancient Leshen fight was so good. TG... Wait, why are we here? We're in the wrong area. Why did it take us here? I think people also who really hate Donald Trump, they get attached to that idea. They're like, "Urgh." You know what I mean? They're like, they want to find something to cling to and say, I hate him. This is his fault. I think that's literally what happens. I hate him. But you gotta be fair, you know? Let's grab this right here. And again, as if it's his fault in the first place. Like, come on, man. It's down to the source of the virus. The first person to blame is the people who did not control the virus. And that would be the Chinese Communist Party, who clearly covered up probably their embarrassing release of the virus, probably from the Wuhan lab. Hey, cool, we got Sharpshooter. We also had a chance for Black Belt. You know, they tried to basically hide what happened, and they claim to have an absolutely ridiculous death rate to the rest of the world, which we know must be a lie. And yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's ridiculous. And here we are beating each other up, and it's like, this is not a time to beat each other up. But our politicians do it, and they want you to do it because they are still wanting power. They're like, we're going to win. We're going to win the re-election. It's like, Jesus, man. Samuel says, I just got Dark Souls 3 on Steam. Taking a little break. Nice. The US is 14th in deaths per million. He blames everyone else. China had less deaths than the US. They would never lie. At this moment, is the guy with dementia or the guy with the potty mouth? Yeah, that's actually very accurate, Zane. The guy with dementia versus the guy with potty mouth. But I have to say, I'm actually a pretty good fan of Mike Pence. I like Mike Pence. He seems like a no... all business. That's what Mike Pence seems like. Mike Pence is all business. I'm sure Dementia Joe is going to pick some identity politics female. This is exactly what's going to happen. Probably like Kamala Harris, and they're going to say, I should be president because I have a coochie and because of the color of my skin, which, by the way, is an extremely racist idea. The idea that you should be president of a country because of the color of your skin is also very racist. Even if people don't like to admit that on the left, that's true. So he's gonna pick, he's gonna pick a girl, and he's gonna say, "Hey, I got a girl, so you've got to vote for me because that's progress." And women who they have like terrible sayings like women who don't vote for women deserve to go to hell or something like that. I've heard that shit. It's so bad. Here, let's grab this real fast. That's right. Vote for me. I have a penis. Can you imagine guys who said that? Vote for me. I have a penis. The girls say, "Vote for me. I got a coochie," and it makes me go, you know what? I don't want to vote for girls. They say, "Vote for me. I have a coochie." Too much of that. So anyways, Dementia Joe versus Potty Mouth Donald Trump, braggadocious Donald Trump. But I've kept an eye on Mike Pence. I think he's like a manager type. There's no jokes, no messing around. So it actually comes down to policy after that. And obviously, the left's policies and the right's policies are very different. Like pro-abortion, anti-abortion, identity politics versus capitalism, basically, is what the left and the right are right now. And the left basically calls anyone who doesn't agree with their identity politics fascists at this point. So they very much would like to call the conservative party fascist. That's what they would like to do. And it actually makes them look more like a type of extremist themselves, a type of authoritarian group themselves. When you have ideas like you have to hire a woman onto the board of directors because she has a coochie, that itself looks very authoritarian. It doesn't look like business. It looks like government control. You know what I mean? Telling you how you should run your business based on like nothing, basically. So silly. Anyways, that's my opinions. You guys can disagree, by the way. Feel free to disagree. I'm sure you already heard, but what are your thoughts on Master Rank Kulf Taroth? Hey, Master, what do you think of Master Rank Kulf? I think that Master Rank Kulf is a monster in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Everybody here typing not hearing TGC. Don't say Fatalis. Why the frick did Bernie not win? I will tell you why Bernie didn't win. Are you ready? I'm going to tell you why Bernie Sanders did not win. Bernie Sanders, first of all, I think he's hard for some central Democrats to stomach. So that's the first problem. So there's going to be Democrats that are like, I want change, but I don't want like crazy change. But here's the real problem. Bernie Sanders' votes were getting split by Elizabeth Warren, who is basically copycat Bernie Sanders. So, all the, you gotta vote for me because I'm a woman. Democrats, killing their own chance of having Bernie Sanders win, and it's because basically of the whole, basically their own push for feminism, in my opinion. Think about it. If Elizabeth Sanders dropped out of the race the way that the other remember what happened? We were having, what do they call it? The primaries for the Democrat Party. And what happened was all of the other centrists dropped out of the race, but Elizabeth Warren, who was a progressivist or whatever you want, a socialist, she didn't drop out of the race. So Bernie Sanders had his votes split while Joe Biden didn't. I wanted to call him Dementia Joe, but I couldn't remember his full name. Joe Biden didn't have his votes split because those guys backed out. So Elizabeth Warren might have single-handedly stopped Bernie Sanders from getting the primaries or having a better shot at them. Really ridiculous. Could you imagine her being president of the U.S.? She's just a really angry woman. That's it. Like, yeah, progress, man. Why'd you vote for Elizabeth Warren? Well, she's got a coochie. Progress. Warren is pretty much Hillary Clinton wearing a Bernie Sanders mask. That's actually a really fair description, in my opinion. She basically looked and saw where she could fit best into the competition, and she said, all right, here are all my beliefs. I stole them all from Bernie Sanders, but I'm a female, so you should vote for me for identity purposes. That's like the sickness of identity politics, and identity politics is really, it leads to all kinds of terrible things, like I guess genocide, stuff like that. Genocide, racism, slavery. You guys don't think so, but that's exactly what it leads to. And they're like, oh, but we're for equality. Nobody's ever for equality. I don't actually believe that. I think everyone is always for inequality. Is always some group protecting their group. And you know this is true when they tell you something like, you gotta vote for me because I got the coochies, man. When they say stuff like that, that is when you know that they're not actually for equality. A free market is really good because a free market, a meritocracy does not judge you based on your genitals or the color of your skin. That's why you guys got to focus on meritocracies. Nice. Meritocracies. Man, I don't agree with that, man. Oh, snap. She actually got me. You guys get me all worked up over here. I'm so passionate about this stuff. Yeah, I think that Bernie Sanders actually honestly would have won on the left. And when I listen to Joe Biden, I actually think that Bernie Sanders, despite having a heart attack, would have been a better candidate. They're both ridiculously old. Like, both candidates are too old. It's really easy to tell. One has had a heart attack. The other one clearly has a memory problem where he can't even remember what he's saying. You ever think about that? You know what happens when if you guys take a class like abnormal psychology, that was one of the classes you take, you learn a little bit about, psychiatric, geriatrics, basically, for old people. And one of the things that happens is, as you get older, the line between reality and imagination starts to kind of fade away. It's almost like being stuck in a dreamlike state, and you're not able to remember what you're saying or what you're talking about, and you're not able to use the correct words. You lose your train of thoughts really easily. Joe Biden's got all of that, man. He's got all of it. And we're just acting like everything's fine. Well, and I think there was a point where nobody expected him to win. Like, it was obvious that he was too old, and they're like, all right, he's got no chance. But then what happens is, Buttigieg, and who was the other one? Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar, they all drop out of the race and give Joe Biden, like, a clear shot to win the primaries, and Warren stays in. Warren's like, I'm going to beat both of these guys because I'm a woman, or whatever her reasoning is, but yeah, it's just so bad. It's so bad, man. I think that Donald Trump has a really serious shot at winning the re-election. I think mostly the liberal votes will not be in excitement for Joe Biden, because basically he's the group that they hate. The left is so into identity politics now. That's like all they care about. And he's part of that group that they hate. He's an old white man, right? Ageist, sexist, racist. Old white man. Judging people for their age, their sex, and their color of their skin. But anyways, that's the group that the Democrats absolutely hate. So they're stuck with the old white man. And they probably hate it. And it's like, they did it to themselves. It's so crazy. They had no candidates. Elizabeth Warren, I don't know, man. I would have preferred Bernie, personally. I really would have. I would have preferred Bernie if I was on the left. God damn it. Meanwhile, 37% of the people that test positive die. AOC might run for president. Oh, God. AOC for president, man. I would go, if she ever won, I would go straight over to Europe. I would be like, all right, there's no help in the U.S. It's over. It's over for the U.S. I'm going to Europe. What is your stance on term limits for Congress? I guess if the Democrats and the Republicans agreed on term limits, I think that would be perfectly fine. It would be a change in the system, but, if that's what everyone wants, that's what everyone wants. Big deal. Otherwise, I don't really know if they should have to get rid of it. I've heard arguments for keeping it and for getting rid of it. I don't really know where I stand on term limits. But if they want to change it, then the Democrats and the Republicans should agree on it and vote on it, okay? But they have to agree on it. Bernie knows politics. Biden is going to get saddled with the Manchurian candidate vice president. Yeah, he's going to have, probably Kamala Harris is probably going to be asked, because she's, she's a woman of color. So that's what they want. Because this is all it is. Their party is just about race and identity. And that's extremely bad. It's extremely bad. If you turn it into a race war, I can't tell you how it will end, but it will not end well. It will not end well. Nice. Oops, and I missed the roll. What's wrong with AOC? Oh, man. AOC is the definition of crazy eyes. Yeah, I would not vote for AOC. If she ever became president, I would just pack my bags and move to Europe. It would be all over. I'd be like, I'm on my way, guys. Heading over to Ireland. All the redheads. Zane says, I don't know, would depend on his policies. The furious raging weapons need more love. If you have to ask what is wrong with AOC, then oh man. Well, a lot of people probably might not be familiar with her, but she's basically what some people would call a radical leftist. You know how we have like an authoritarian alt-right, right? And they're probably the closest thing you have to fascism. These guys believe in the whole blood and soil, kind of like having an ethno-state with a defined culture, and we will accept immigrants, but only so many, right? So that's what the Democrats call fascists anyways. Well, she's the opposite of that. She's the opposite of that on the other side. She's like a full-blown feminist, globalist, what I would call racist, basically. And she wants to get rid of capitalism. Capitalism's evil. We got to disrupt the patriarchy, all that stuff. Really shit. Ever thought about running for an office? I've thought about running for Pokemon cards. Ian says, what those fat cats on Wall Street pay their fair share of free money for everyone. Oh, make those fat cats on Wall Street pay their fair share of free money for everyone. Anon says, how reliable Sword and Shield's block? Well, to answer that, by the way, Ian, I believe you can raise taxes on the wealthy, but in the United States, the taxes should remain lower than other, competing countries. So like, if you want to keep innovation in America, if you want to keep investment in America, if you want the wealthy to stay here and not pack their bags and leave. By the way, you guys don't think about this. The wealthy are the ones who find it easiest to move. They've got the money to move. So they find it easier than anyone else to move around the country or around the planet. So you need to have a competitive tax rate and not just say, oh, eat the rich. You want to eat the rich, they're going to pack their bags and leave, and you're going to find out they already did pay most of the taxes, even though they had a lower tax rate than you did. So everyone's mad, oh, the rich have a lower tax rate. Yeah, but they're billions of dollars. When they go in, even at a lower tax rate, the final amount of money that they actually pay is so much larger than yours. Yours is like a drop in the bucket, and they give out millions of dollars in taxes in 1 year. Ireland for the win. Ireland, Scotland, the UK. I'll move to Caton, UK. My last name's Caton, so I'll move to Caton, UK. I'm Australian, and I don't know what's going on. Is there room in this section? Is there room? Let's check. Twitch, Boink, Michael, Stellar, Maxwell. There is. There is actually one spot. Let's see who we can help now. Special assignment. All right, we're joining Flexboy. Let's do it, Flexboy. Hey, those $1,200 that the government is giving doesn't supposed to be for people that actually need it? Enma Fire, it's very hard to define who, quote, needs it. You know what I mean? Like, are you going to go to each person and do like a tax audit on them and find out, you got too much wealth. We can't let you have that money. So it would take so much time figuring out who needs it that you would just lose more money hiring specialists to measure that. So they just kind of, I think they just kind of chose like a blanket income level and said, all right, everyone under this gets $1,200. And it's, I guess it's okay. You can go use your money to buy some Pokemon. Trump says America should do more infrastructure, pull back all the army overseas. That's right, Trump, because you're an expert in military and you know exactly how to best, manage our military. See, that's the funny thing. I could talk about military too, but I just have no clue what the best thing with our military would be. It turns out we all have a strong opinion, usually an opinion given to us by a politician. Hey man, this is what we should do. Turns out there are real military experts who have a much greater knowledge of the world. Generals that know secret things about what is going on around the world that you don't know, right? Like what other countries' military generals are doing. And so it scares me to think how much power our government has that I'm not aware of, but you just actually have to trust your government to be doing the right thing, and that's all you can do. You can say, oh man, we need to get rid of our military, and just, no, we need to withdraw isolationists and stuff like that. Honestly, I think that our military generals are the experts, and I think they should advise us what should be done. Am I Master Rank 100? I think he's talking to somebody else. I am not a military expert. I don't know all the secret things that are going on around the world. I want our military experts to make decisions, not me. If you tested positive for corona in the United States, 37% die. What? Should be in your assignment. Anybody? She's insane. 99% of people don't know how the rich wealth work. Most people don't know how wealth works in general. It's a complicated issue, and you don't go to school to become wealthy. You guys go to school to be workers for corporations. So you go to public school funded by your government, and then you come out ready to be somebody else's worker. Do you understand? You don't come out of school ready to start your corporation. You come out ready to work for somebody else's corporation. So this is why school needs to be fixed. Military government is best government. The quest does not appear. I don't know what to do. He's having trouble with the quest. Did you try restarting your game, maybe? Yeah, you go to school and you learn all this crap that you don't even care about, and then you get graded on it, and you're given this arbitrary number that tells you you're stupid, basically. And then you go into debt for the U.S. government, $55,000, $60,000 of debt, to get another fancy piece of paper that everyone else is getting. So it's a useless piece of paper. And this piece of paper tells you that you're real smart, but you're not actually that smart. You then go work for somebody else's asset. You build somebody else's asset for 40 years of your life. He becomes a multimillionaire. You stay poor your whole life, and then you get mad at the government. That's the school system. School system doesn't teach you to be well, I don't think I'm speaking entirely truthfully. I think that you can go take classes on starting a business and becoming an entrepreneur and investing. This is why everyone should go for financial degrees and business degrees. Skip all that history and politics stuff and philosophy stuff. Go learn about finance. Go learn about finance. You can learn politics and history still. You can do that for free online. You can do that on YouTube. You can do that by opening a book and reading it. Even with many of the finance things, you can learn it online. So you don't have to do it that way. But, you know, get an actual useful degree, guys. Go for a finance degree. I learned more from you than from 12 years of school. Well, that's right, because if you needed to learn the powerhouse of the cell, it turns out you can Google what is the powerhouse of the cell. You know what I mean? But instead, you go to school for like 4 years to learn stuff that your brain doesn't want to learn. And then when you do a bad job learning it, your parents beat you up and your school beats you up and treats you like you have a problem, right? Oh, the girls are so smart and the boys are stupid. Yeah, boys don't want to learn this stuff. Boys want to learn how to run a business. But you're beaten up for not being good at knowing like the powerhouse of the cell. It's so silly. It's like, let's take some stereotypes, okay? I don't think that most guys want to learn fashion. But let's say our school system decided you have to learn fashion. So imagine you're now taking a fashion class, and you're going to be graded on this. It's actually going to affect your GPA, your grade average. And it's going to determine how well you can get into a college so that you can learn more crap like fashion design, right? This is basically what is wrong with education today. You learn all these subjects, which almost guarantees you're learning something that you have no passion about. And the truth is, people do not work hard on things that they aren't passionate about. People only work hard on things they're passionate about. Nice. If you're not passionate about it, your brain does not work hard. That was actually something I learned in psychology. When your brain's not passionate about something, and you try to learn it, it's harder to learn, and it's harder to remember. And you guys don't even need me to tell you that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Anytime you have to learn a subject you have zero passion for, it is so difficult to actually learn that subject. It's not interesting. I think we caused the paralysis. Oh, he didn't actually paralyze though. Ouch. Is gender studies a good degree investment? No, not at all. Because there's no product for it. I mean, maybe if you were going to become a professor who teaches like gender studies, then it would be a good degree. But most people who learn something like that won't actually become a professor. But there's no, like, as far as I know, there's no product. So there's nothing to sell at the end of that degree, which is where the value of your degree comes from. You have to be buying a degree that has a value to it. Especially if you're going to school in order to, you know, live in the middle class and have it be an investment on your career. You're telling me my gender studies degree won't help me make money? That's right. Didangan says, if 100,000 showed up in your bank account today, what would you do with it? If you're asking that question seriously to me, I would use it to buy Pokemon cards. I'm not even kidding. Pokemon cards are appreciating so fast, I think that they're actually outperforming the stock market by a lot. And you would only know that if you collected Pokemon cards. Pokemon cards right now are secretly making a ton of money. Oh. Yeah, I would actually put them into cards. Sex ed is a prime example of what's wrong with the education system. Right, that's stuff you can learn on the internet. You can learn it from your parents. School is supposed to be teaching you math and physics and stuff like that. Teach you how to have sex. This is stupid, man. Are you over there pretending to be asleep? You just chilling? I attend school in Shanghai. I don't like how colleges in the United States favor the schools here with lower GPA averages, but connection to the US. Oh, well, you know, that's just how it's going to be. Yeah, establishing some kind of business relation is... Oh, snap. I'm still alive. I'm dead. I landed in the lava. That's sad. Oh, returning to base. Oh, I didn't realize we were out of lives. I'm sorry, guys. Mahil says, I am double majoring in lesbian dance theory and left-handed puppetry. Twitch is like, bro, moment. Bruh. I was alive. I dive evaded that move. I didn't realize I was dive evading into lava. That was really dumb of me. GC, you get 10k, but the newest Monster Hunter cards come out. Are you going for the new Monster Hunter cards or Pokemon cards? Pokemon cards. Pokemon, not Monster Hunter. I would be interested in buying Monster Hunter cards if there was like an established, you know, like if they were going to get real established about it, real hard, you know, if they were going to go hard on it, I'd think about it. But right now, Pokemon's obviously a much clearer investment. Computer science majors here, that's what I'm doing. That's right. Technology degrees are very good right now, guys. Zane says, yo man, college is a scam here in the United States. It is. I completely agree with this. It's way overpriced, and that's because everyone goes because everyone's being given free money to go, and then they go into debt, and then they say, oh, I don't want to pay this debt off. We're in a student loan crisis. That's what happens. Because they all went for history, and they went for psychology, and it turns out those degrees don't earn money. It turns out those degrees make you a middle manager at Walmart. Trump says college is not a scam if you know what to do. It's a scam for lots and lots of young, stupid people who are being given huge amounts of money to go after a useless degree and really to just go on to spring break and buy a laptop and buy a new car. That's what they're doing with the money that they're being loaned by the government. And the government doesn't audit how you use the money, so the money just gets poured out. And then when it turns out that, you know, they can't afford to pay it back, what do the Democrats do? They say, oh, we'll pay it back for you. That's what they say. They don't make the schools pay it back. They're going to tell everybody who didn't go to college to pay it back for the kids who had the privilege of going to college. If you want to talk about privilege, why don't we talk about, you know, educational privilege, where there's a bunch of, you know, men and women who went to college on a loan, and there are other people who were so poor they couldn't even afford to take out the loan because they couldn't pay for the cost of living, which is very challenging, by the way. So anyways, they didn't take out the loan, or maybe they're conservative, or maybe they don't believe in the education system, or maybe they're successful business people who should be rewarded for being successful. And we tell them, you're going to pay for everyone else's college because they suck. There's some really bad inequality and privilege right there. Bracky too tall, sword too short. Any hunting horn users up in here? By the way, it's so hot in here. I'm going to go check the air conditioning. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, it's warming up outside. Almost 2.5 million people run a race and only 800,000 cross the finish line. 21% death worldwide. What? What do you think about a nutrition and dietetics degree? I don't understand the last word if you spelled it right. Basically, you're talking about getting a nutrition degree. I mean, it's the same thing, Michael. Make sure you're not overpaying for the degree and make sure that there is a real job for you at the end of it. Okay, that's what I have to say. And don't spend your money on spring break. Save the money. Miscellaneous says, sex education doesn't teach you sex. It just drills down abstaining and not anything else, not safe sex or how to raise a family. What are you talking about, Miscellaneous? You're telling me sex education teaches you abstinence? I've never heard of that. I thought it was religions that do that. TGC is a sweaty fat man. That's right. He's hot. He's hot. He's turned on talking about politics. That's right. Doom says, the day I take out loans is the day I prefer a handler over a serious handler. Educating the populace should not have been a business incentive for the institutions. This is true, same difference. So, but here's the problem. It's just like healthcare and it's just like housing. When there is a profit incentive, people come in and they innovate and they're supposed to offer better products. What's actually happening in the educational system, first off, the public education system in the United States has no competition at all. It just receives money from the government. It just runs on government money. And then the colleges almost run exactly the same way. The government doesn't just hand the money over to the colleges, it hands the money over to the students who then hand it over to the colleges. So it is a terrible system where the schools are not held responsible for the success of the child. And I think that if the schools were held responsible for the success of the child, you would see firings of the teachers, firings of the principals, firings of the people who do the curriculum when that degree ends up not having any financial benefit. And there would be all this restructuring over how things are taught. And the schools, if you cannot get a good job after you get the degree, that school should owe you the cost of the degree. The degree should be free if you don't get a job. That's how it should be designed. That way, if the school accepts you, it's not just taking your government money and keeping you in debt. It's saying, we're invested in this together so that your success is a part of our business. And right now, it's not a part of their business. Their business is taking as much of your money as they possibly can. That's their business right now. They have no interest in... It's like what we were talking about. You want to get an engineer degree? Great. You have to take creative writing. Like what? Why? Well, because that makes more money for the schools. That is literally the reason why. There's no other reason to take creative writing. You want to practice your creative writing? Good. Go home and write some poetry. It's easy. You don't need to take creative writing in school, but they make you take it. And that's because they know they're going to get a bunch of money off of you. If the schools were told, look, if this kid does not make money at the end of his degree and get a job, you're going to pay for the degree, oh, they would change. They would change right away. The system does not incentivize the schools to do that right now, and that's a large part of the problem. Miscellaneous says, it's mostly just teenagers don't want to raise a kid, so all they really just teach is prevention, even though teens are going to have sex anyways. All I'm saying is 17... Jeff's TGC success for every person does not equal financial wealth in 5 years. TGE at 6:30 in the morning? Yes, please. Greetings from Norway. Hey, how's it going? TGC first run PK cards were almost worthless a few years ago. Is this the case? Is this still the case? First run Pokemon cards in the past. Oh, you're talking about like base set and all that? We were selling base set Japanese packs today on my card channel for $220, so they become super rare. I used to Europe my GI bill, went to college. Everyone there was just dumb people who complained about their first world problems. That's right, we live in such comfort that it's almost like concepts like having to cut a chicken's head off and strip the meat off of an animal are alien ideas, and we don't have to do that kind of stuff anymore, and it turns us all into, honestly, into babies. That's what it does. We're so babied. It's almost like we're not even human anymore. And then we can't figure out, like, oh my gosh, I can't just do whatever I want and make money. I actually have to do things that are valuable to society. We here to watch you play or talk politics. Oh man, he's bashing the U.S. education system. I'll get us all the popcorn. All right, I won't go too deep into it. If you guys want to talk about a different subject, go for it. I do feel that the educational system basically needs to be tossed out. It has not kept up with technology at all. It's way overpriced. It teaches you a bunch of useless stuff that you can learn for free on YouTube. It does not get you a job, but it does put you into horrifying debt. Put you into horrifying debt. Put you into horrifying debt. What's up with my favorite YouTuber? I'm just tuning in. How's it going, Moises? My teacher got fired for ignoring me and my intellect. I always finished work early and got bored. We had to go to the principal about it, and the teacher got fired and I got moved up 2 grades. Nice, dude. Congratulations on getting moved up. Kids always invest, no matter if it is saving account or your parents open a Roth for you. No, do not save into do not save into a savings account. Those earn you nothing, dude. You got to take that money and you've got to invest it. So yes, I agree. Save your money. The initial thing you're saying here is basically you're saying don't spend more than you earn. But you should always be investing. But a savings account is a terrible... You might as well not invest in a savings account because the savings account earns so little. It's not really savings at all, is it? So you need to be buying bonds. You need to be buying into a business model, or not business model, business that you're starting. You need to be doing something with your money that earns some big money. See what I'm saying? You never want to be sitting on your money and wasting it in a savings account. You could be buying gold and silver. You know, if you're not comfortable buying things like Pokemon cards, which is an alternative asset, you could be buying gold and silver. People who had a bunch of gold and silver before the crash, they're about to make a bunch of money. It might take a few months before the price of gold shoots up, but the price of gold is about to shoot up. So I'd rather have gold than have my money sitting in a bank account. Bank accounts give you nothing. Bank accounts are a ripoff, man. Bank accounts are like the bank's going, you don't know anything about money and we do, so feel free to put your money in here. This stream has 6 likes. How's it going, GG Easy? Bro, I'm glad there are people like you in this world. Get that blast resist or roll all day. Can you help me with Ruin and Nergi fight? If you're in the session, I can absolutely help you. We're helping people on Xbox right now. I need to buy bongs? I already made a blast resist charm for this fight. Gee, I heard you were some kind of computer science career smart guy. Do you have any advice for a fellow computer scientist nerd? Yeah, so probably my best advice is make sure in between semesters you are picking up internships. This was something my wife and I didn't do, and later we regretted it because we learned in our senior year that internships for computer science pay really well. So you can get into an internship that starts at like $20 an hour. There were a lot of internships at $20 an hour for software engineering. And not only that, but it gets you your foot into the door, and they're not even difficult. You don't even really do any programming. So that would be one of my best pieces of advice for people who are getting into computer science is do not skip the summertime internship. You can even check for winter internships, which exist. Not a lot of them, but some of them do exist. The other thing is, you just need to, if you're going into technology, you need to understand if you're actually going to make a good software engineer. If you don't like math, you're not going to probably make a very good software engineer. Not because you have to know a lot of math to be into coding, but because it uses a very similar part of your brain. So if you find yourself working on it and getting bored very fast, the best thing for you to do is find a related technology job. So there's a lot of technology jobs that don't require coding. For example, there's somebody who tests the software, and what they do is they just turn it on, right? So software, what happens is businesses need custom software for whatever it is they're doing. So they hire lots of software engineers to make this custom software. And what happens is they do updates on this software all the time. Most software engineers will get a job doing that. They'll be making the custom software, and then they'll be updating it for the company that's using it, okay? So that's what most software engineer companies do. Not software company engineers. That's what most software jobs will be, is something like that. There's exceptions. Maybe you get like an engineer position with, I don't know, like Google or Microsoft, and you're really working on something really cool, you know what I mean? Like a product that everyone's using over the internet. But most jobs are going to be with businesses. And if you don't want to have to sit down and do the equivalent of math all day, which is, again, that's what I would describe coding as. It's very similar to doing math all day. Even if it's not difficult math, it feels the same. So anyways, if you don't like math that much, focus on getting a job where maybe you're like testing the software. This is a good paying job. Focus on getting a job where you are helping communicate between the client and the software company. So like you're a software salesman, right? So you're selling software solutions. You can become a software engineer manager. So this is called a project manager usually, and it's somebody who has to have very good communication skills, understands the software somewhat, but you don't have to be like a genius engineer. You just kind of have to understand what's going on so that you can use the verbiage. But your job will mainly be managing projects, all right? And your job will be like scheduling these projects for the actual software engineers. And this job pays quite well. It pays basically the same amount that the software engineers are making themselves. Maybe more, it just depends. So that's a good like soft skill job in technology. And then there's even a good paying job for people who operate the software. So this is different from people who test the software. Basically what I'm talking about is, so you'll have companies that hire, I've told you like the whole process. These companies, they need custom software in order to do their business, right? And what you can do is you can get a job with those companies to operate their software for them. Let me give you a great example. So I worked right out of school, I worked for a bank, and they had all this custom software that I didn't actually have to work on, but they had all this custom software for people who do the internal transactions in the bank. So like, let's say you want to do a deposit. How is a deposit actually made in a bank? Well, it's all done on software. So they had these old ladies. You would think that they're young, but they were a bunch of old ladies. And they were the ones that operated this software all day, and they had been with that bank for a long time, so they understood the software. And it was actually pretty complicated when you had to look at it. You had to know a lot of like knobs and stuff. It's kind of like playing a game. You're not doing any testing, you're not doing any coding, you're just actually using the software. And you know, if you have a company that's complicated, like a bank for example, they will actually pay you a lot of money to operate that software, because you have to know a little bit about accounting, you have to know a lot of bank verbiage, and if you were to make a mistake with that software, you could cost the bank a lot of money. So they pay good money for people to operate their software well, you know, to operate it accurately. So there's so many technology jobs out there, guys. Focus on technology, focus on entrepreneurship, focus on finance. Leave all the soft skills behind, in my opinion. Stuff like psychology, history, social studies, gender studies, all the stuff that you could read on your own in your free time. Stuff that requires, you know, the stuff that requires a certification in order to get a job in, those are the kind of jobs you should be thinking about. But also just in general, lots of technology and finance jobs that really don't require certification, but they do require you to know what's going on, and you can learn those things in school, but you don't need all the classes in school. They're going to tell you that you have to take Shakespeare, English lit. Many of you may be in college right now, so some of you are probably 18, 19 in school right now taking useless classes. And let me tell you something, when you graduate, you aren't just going to pay $4,000 for that class. You're going to pay $4,000 plus interest. And the interest can be like $400 to $800 a month, depending on the interest rate that you got on that loan and how quickly you pay it off. When you go by each month and you start paying $200 a month interest on a stupid Shakespeare class, you will realize what just a freaked up system it is that makes some people who own the schools and own the banks very wealthy, and it keeps you poor because you think you had to have some stupid English lit course in order to be educated. And these companies don't care if you know English literature. They really don't. The companies, the software companies, they're like, you know how a database works? Can you log into a database and do database stuff? Okay, well then we go. They never ask you how good are you at history. They never ask you that. They don't care. They don't give two shits if you're good at history. It doesn't matter. It's a useless skill. And again, you can become, you know, you can broaden your education if you're really rich already, or you're a trust fund baby or something like that, and you just want to become broad-minded. Sure, go to education and you can spend $4,000 on that if you just feel like it. But if you're trying to become wealthy yourself and provide a middle-class life for yourself and a career, just go after the actual useful skills. Most skills at school are not useful, and it's ridiculous. It's like robbing from the young. It's not robbing from the young, but the young are just very poorly advised, and the schools are not held responsible when the children pull out all these huge loans that are totally bad. You shouldn't be pulling it out. They don't give you good advice. They give you bad advice because they want your money. And they aren't held responsible when it goes bad. We're having a financial crisis with the student loans, but the schools don't have to pay, everyone else does? Come on. It's just, that's stealing. That's actual stealing, right? If somebody else didn't go to school and they have to pay for your education privilege where you went to school and got, you know, all broad-minded and all that shit, that's actual privilege and that's actual robbery. And we don't talk about it that way because the Democrats treat the educational system like it's this, you know, this totally necessary institution. Well, it is, because that's where you go to get brainwashed about believing in everything liberal. And I would know because I went, and I, you know, again, I was like the president of the computer science club, and they're like, all right, so here's all the rules for diversity and blah, 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 and this and that, and here's what you can say and what you can't say. It was really terrible. You go there to become a liberal and go into $60,000 of debt. Terrible. Terrible for making money. So many other ways to make money. You know, it's funny, I run this card channel behind me. It's basically like it's kind of like running a card store. It's a little bit like that. I'll sell booster packs. Zero of the skills I learned on operating a card store came from school. Zero. It all came from my dad when he ran a home business when I was a kid. Everything I know about running a home business came from him. It was not part of my homeschooling curriculum. It was not part of my college curriculum. They don't teach you that stuff at school. They don't teach you how to operate a small business. Well, and maybe they do, but maybe you need to go take those courses. Maybe you need to take those courses, is all I'm saying. Whew. Rant time, huh? Adam says, I was raised on a farm and we eat what we had, so I'm not crazy. Jeff says, how about take your... Oops. Jeff says, how about take your math skills and figure out the United States death rate? Let's see. Ferry says, this month, both at the same time. Master Rank Cove is coming on the 23rd. Interest is what gets you. What if I want to be an electrician? You can go to school for that. But it's like, you don't need to take out a huge loan of like $12,000 on 4 useless classes. Dargun says, I'm going to school for a motion design degree. I'm sort of worried that I won't get a job. I think I also have a problem with comparing my own work with professionals. Yeah, Dargon, focus on what you're passionate about. I would say the best work for you is whatever you appear to be better than at others. So if you're better at something than other people very naturally, that's a good thing to look into for yourself. And also make sure that you're going into a field with plenty of jobs and growth. Think about the future. Will there be a job 20 years from now? And yeah, I mean, you shouldn't always compare yourself to professionals. Your OCD will kick in and it'll demoralize you. Benjamin says, so you had it taught out of you. Fair enough. I'm just saying all primates are herbivores, including humans. There's a reason we have to cook the hell out of our meat before we can eat it. What are you talking about, Benjamin? You know the Japanese eat raw chicken, right? They eat raw beef, raw chicken, raw eggs. They eat raw fish. So I don't know what you're talking about, Benjamin. We cook our food in order to remove germs, that's all. God Terror Boy says, if anything goes wrong here, spam my DM on Discord. Jobs want work experience. College literature doesn't mean shit. Kenneth says, I think the collective economy runs on different markets. There may not be a need for one more student with an art degree, but there is a need for the entire art industry and the art they sell to business. Don't know what you mean by that. Nervous says, I agree with you completely. Teachers in this current school and education system get absolutely zero consequences. Exactly. There needs to be consequences if your students are failing, or else those students shouldn't be going to your class. They should get their money back if it's a bad education. Doom says, GE, a wonderful pleasure to hear your advice on computer scientists. Thank you so much, Sensei. I won't disappoint. Yeah, I hope my perspective gave you some ideas of the different jobs available in technology. There's a software engineer, a software tester who does not have to be really good at software. There's security. There's so much when it comes to technology, when it comes to like the creative side of it. But like software tester is not so creative. He's just somebody who tests the software. There's the software operator, the salesman who sells the software, and the project manager who, he communicates to the engineers what the business wants done. So there's so many different layers of jobs in there. And you could even be like a software consultant. This is a person who, what your job is you need to go to like, well, it's very close to the salesman, so I guess they overlap. But you will go into like a company and tell them, look, I can make your company way more efficient with a piece of software. Here's how it's done. And then you go to a software company and you tell them, all right, I've got a client for you who wants software now. See, just like that. What do you think about the future of space travel? Not too worried about it. I'll probably be dead before we do much space travel, in terms of an industry. Welp, I was healer for that mission. Are we in an economic crisis? Moises, we are in an economic crisis, but it's a very special kind of economic crisis. There was nothing wrong with the economy, in my opinion, nothing wrong with the economy until the coronavirus was hit. So when people go back to work and when we defeat the coronavirus, I think that the economy will surprisingly catch up, but it won't be until afterwards. I'll jump into this one. TGC, what time is it in your area? It's 11:47 p.m. Hey Gameconomist, do you have any advice about selling Pokemon cards? I'm looking to sell my collection and don't know where to start. Tristan, if you have a really decent collection, one thing you could do is contact me and make me an offer. Throw in pictures of the top 10 cards and make me an offer. Maybe I'll buy them straight from you. Now, with that being said, if you want to sell your cards, the primary way it's done is on Facebook and eBay, I would say. Those are the two main markets. And eBay especially is very easy, but you pay a lot of eBay fees, you pay shipping fees, you pay PayPal fees. So you kind of have to learn a little bit about all that. Open your PayPal account, open your eBay account. Listing items is really not that complicated. When you go to ship the card, be sure to ship it very well so that the card doesn't get damaged. And when you take the pictures for the card, be sure that the pictures are very accurate. They actually show the bad parts of the card. And then just copy the way everyone else posted the same card, and you should be good. There's a very well-established Pokemon card market, so you should roughly know what the card's going for. Brian says, any ideas to leveraging the low oil prices? Leveraging the low oil prices? I mean, who's going to leverage low oil prices? UPS, USPS, FedEx? They're probably just going to enjoy a better profit margin for a while oil is low. And oil will probably return to normal when the economy returns to normal. And now might be a good time to buy energy stock. So actually, I am invested in Chevron. And even with the recent drop from, oil prices dropping to like below $0 a barrel in the US, I'm still up. I actually still made money on the purchase of those stocks. It's ridiculous how much money I've made in the stock market ever since it fell at its lowest point is when I bought in. Well, let me repeat that. At its current lowest point is when I bought in. In the next 2 months, the stock market may fall dramatically. We'll have to see. It probably will, and I'm ready for that. But I'm not worried about it because I'm not going to sell my oil stock. I'll probably keep buying. If it crashes further, I'll probably buy more oil. Jackie says, has there been any news on what kind of skills that the Namiel Galman set will have? It will have Namiel skills. Arcania says, we evolved to be omnivores. Don't fall for the vegan propaganda. Enzu says, I'm back. Hey, and Gameconomist in chat. Dodogama says, tips for getting immortal reactor, break the head and cut the tail, put the plunder blade on the palico. Sounds good, Dodogama. That's great. Armando says, good run, Twitch. Saul says, I'm back, everyone. What did I miss? You missed it all. Oops. Stand by. Where was I? Sorry. What about school talk? Did I miss that? Yes, you did. I have to wake up at 8 a.m. for school Zoom meeting. If you're good at something, never do it for free. Yes, school talk. Man, do I wish there was more likely space travel. Wouldn't a better metric be death confirmed cases? The things that is really sickening about college is that they don't pay taxes, and some of them have billions of dollars in endowments. That's right. So you have these extremely wealthy colleges that really do pump leftist ideology on kids, and they do not tolerate conservative ideas, traditional ideas like having an actual family, right? They don't allow those ideas. Those are fascist ideas. And so they train you to be liberal. They put you in horrifying debt. They get special tax statuses, and then they receive huge endowments. So it's absolutely disgusting. It's terrible. So many people without PFPs. Do you think we will get Raging Bracky as investigations in the next update? It's possible. Poor guy who asked for Ruiner, and I'm going to have to help. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Donald Trump's got to go. Rest in peace, my Ruiner. This political talk has got to go. Benjamin says, sure, but those animals have to be insured to be super clean. Yeah, I know. They keep them clean. You think there are a lot of jobs for water engineering? There are a lot of jobs in engineering, period. So there, period. But yeah, there's a lot of engineering jobs. So just go into whatever engineering field you're going to go into, and you're going to make plenty of money. I mean to say someone has to create the art and subsequently the market for Pokemon cards that allow you to run your card store, even if it meant getting a useless art degree, just an example. I'm not sure what you meant, Kenneth. I don't know about the educational background of the people who wrote or did the illustrations for the cards. You can go for an art degree, all right? You can. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think if you want to make good money, go for a finance degree. That's what I would say. If you were really good at art, go for an art degree. It's fine. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I didn't think I was going to become a YouTuber, but I'm actually, I enjoy live streaming and I enjoy conversation. I think, do a decent job. You keep talking about there's nothing for vets to do in Monster Hunter World. What do you propose? Difficulty. A new difficulty for vets. TGC, you have any wisdom for chemistry engineering? Nope, because I didn't go to school for chemistry engineering. Just, if you're going to go for the degree, go for the degree. Stock market's cray-cray right now. Thanks, Powell and his money printer. Brr, money printer. This might be like he says about Safi join a group and get carried. Paolo says, I have an accounting job and agree, but it's not my passion. Do you advise me to switch career? It has a lot of opportunities, but it does not trigger my passion. Be very careful, Paolo. When it comes to any job, you're going to experience plenty of burnout. Appreciate what your income is, and if you're going to go after another field, you better be very sure that you're very skilled at it. That's what I would have to say. So it is possible to switch careers. Just, appreciate what you have right now because the economy is a little uncertain. And what I would do is start whatever it is you want to try. Start it as like a sort of, how do I say it? Like a side hustle, basically. Turn it into a side hustle. That's how I did YouTube, by the way. I didn't start YouTube 12 hours a day. I didn't do that. What I did was I went to school. You gonna roar me off? Yeah. I went to school and then I did YouTube on the side. And one day I was doing YouTube full time. So maybe it'll work that way for you too. Will he fall off if I throw him this way? No. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. That was terrible. Here we go. Got him. So you can try to start moving into another area, but just be sure you're actually really skilled at it, and try to do it as like a side hobby or a side job. Don't move straight out of accounting. One of the things people get mixed up in their head is thinking that work is meant to be like laying on the beach. You know what I mean? Work is meant to be like laying on the beach because you're so passionate about it. And this is not entirely always true. It's not always easy to maintain a job. There's days where I wake up and I don't want to talk to anyone. You know what I mean? I talk to you guys every single day. Think about that for a minute. Oh God, he still got me. I talk to you guys every single day, non-stop. I don't even necessarily always take weekends off. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. God, he still got me. But there's days where I wake up and I'm like, you know what? Frick talking to people. That sounds like a terrible chore, but I do it anyways because work inevitably is always going to become a grind. This is why when you hear people on YouTube that talk about burnout, it's like they talk about it as if it's some special disease and they're victims of a disease, but no, it's like, have you guys not considered there's a guy who farms and he just squeezes cow's tits in a cow tit squeezing machine, and that's what he does every day, and you don't think he eventually gets tired of that? Of course he gets tired of that. So appreciate your good pay at the very least. I imagine you're paid well for doing accounting, and maybe it's time for you to find a way for accounting to be more challenging for you. You know, maybe you should be an accountant for a more interesting company. And if you really want to do something like, let's say, oh, I was meant to be a musician or something, do that on the side on your free time. Try to do it on your free time. Maybe try to reduce the number of hours you have at your main job as an accountant. See if you can reduce your hours, and then focus on something you do have an interest in, but don't just give up on it, and don't immediately pull out a loan to like go back to school is what I would say. Also, I'm not a financial advisor, so all of my advice is strictly entertainment. How do you avoid burnout? It's impossible, Matt. Everyone will experience burnout if they do something long enough. Is there a room in session? How can I contact you, says Tristan. You can contact me at 1-800 Smoke 'em Blunt Babies. How do you recover from burnout without losing money? You know, it's kind of a difficult question. Honestly, just here's what I say in my head, because growing up, I did a lot of what I would call like suffering, basically, right? Hardship is suffering. That's what it is. Hardship is suffering. And when I feel burnout, I just say, well, you know, tough. And then I just get back to it. And I try not to think about it. That's actually maybe some really good advice on burnout, is just don't think about it. Go get some work done. You know, just stop talking to yourself about how you feel. This is something men, I think, are especially good at. I don't think girls are as good at this as men are. Stop talking to yourself about how much it hurts and just get back to work. Don't think about it. Don't talk about it. You just get back to work. You be like, all right, this is how work works. And you know, one of the funny thing is when you're experiencing, let's see if I can stop him. When you're experiencing burnout and you get back to work, very often what happens is the effect of going back to work will sometimes get rid of that burnout feeling. You know, you'll be back at work and you'll be like, oh, this isn't so bad. Sometimes it's the initial like startup, getting into something that's the hardest part. Getting back to work is the hardest part. But once you're going, you're like, this isn't so bad. So sometimes you're thinking too much, and if you think less, you will be able to ignore how you feel and do what you have to do. It's difficult. I don't think everyone can just do that. I think it's kind of like controlling how you eat. Everyone's out of shape. Most people are out of shape at some point, and it's just because it's very hard to eat healthy. It really is. It's just hard to do what you know you should be doing. So don't give up. Turn on some music and don't think about it. Just get back to work. Have you seen the stuff Harvard has been going through because of their racist ideology against Asians? I have heard about that. So he's talking about basically Harvard has decided that they have too many Asians. And so, because Asians do really well, by the way, Asians do really well academically, and Harvard basically is saying, oh man, we don't have enough diversity. So we're going to discriminate against Asians, and we're going to tell them, sorry, you need like, they come up with like these stupid skills like leadership skills or stuff like that. They've made them up so that they can disqualify very qualified Asians from going to Harvard. And it's absolutely unacceptable. It's the opposite of a meritocracy, and they do it because that's what being a liberal has turned into. It's turned into basically it's basically racism. I don't know what you think it is. To me, it's racism. It's just open racism. And everyone nods their head and says, yeah, this is progress. It's not progress. Have you seen this? Oh, I already read that one. I hate grades even though I'm a straight A, B student personally. Yeah, I was about a B student, and I agree that the grades were annoying. You know, I think a better way to track progress on somebody is to more like find what they're passionate about. And how do I describe it? You know, the problem, there's like a disconnect with grades. There's the grades where you read a stupid book, you have some baldy, fat, farty guy in glasses telling you, here's how things are with this thing you're learning. And you probably don't want to listen to him. You're on your cell phone. You don't care what he says. You're just there because you have to be there, right? That's usually how it is with education. You're just there because you have to be there. And then you finish listening to the baldy, fat, farty guy talk, and then he gives you a quest, and if you, or not a quest, a test, and if you do bad on the test, you just have a bad GPA. That's it. But you know what I found? I found that a much better measure of the quality of a worker, which is, that's the goal, right? To be a good worker. A much better measure is how passionate and how long they persevere. So tests do not measure perseverance. Let's say you're an average B student, but every single day you work on the same thing for the rest of your life without growing tired. And if you're capable of doing this, the funny thing is you'll end up creating so much more than other people because you just aren't the kind of person who gives up. School does not test this at all. School does not test your perseverance. It just sort of says, oh, you did bad in this course, sorry. Bad grade. And it's a course you're not even interested in, so you'll do bad in like art history, something totally unrelated to what you want a job in, and now you're just stuck with the bad GPA. Did Kitty jump on you? Oh, I'm sorry. Did she scratch you up? Okay. I'm not totally against grades either, by the way. I think that grades are useful. They help you evaluate, but I wish that grades would... Yeah, I'm not totally against grades either. I just think that they're definitely not a perfect system. Alright, let's see what you got to say. Sorry, I've probably really fallen behind on many comments. I'm just going to jump to the most recent comments, okay? If you had to find out what specific kids were good at, they'd take too long and not produce the mindless work drones that we need. That's right. Narga scared me in Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. He was a bad motherfricker. Now he is just a cute cat. He gets beat up. Round. That's his word, right? Round. School equals playing Monster Hunter on PSP in classes. Hew, hew, hew. I always laugh when someone says they are smart but just a bad test taker. Yeah, well, actually, I can kind of agree with that because I agree with it a little bit because I consider myself a very good test taker, and many of the subjects that I learned to get good grades in, I had no interest in them, and I promise you, I've forgotten most of it. I've forgotten most of what I've learned in school. There's just some things I've remembered. So I actually agree with that a little bit. Test taking is a skill. Knowing how to prioritize, like knowing what is most likely to show up on the test, and then being able to memorize that very specific information will get you a much better grade. So if you are good at predicting what's going to be on the test, and I was, you can focus on a few very small things. Also, being able to determine the test style of the teacher, all of that. So if after the first test at the beginning of the course, you get an impression of the test style of that teacher, and so you know exactly how to prepare for that test. So people who say I'm bad at preparing for tests, well, yeah, well, they might be telling the truth. They might be bad at preparing for tests, but they're probably also bad at that class as well. But it shows you that there's, it shows you that it's not all about just being really good at the subject. Sometimes it's just being really good. What about people who are good at cheating? They get good grades. Is that deserved? There's people who's real good at cheating, right? I've cheated before in class. You guys have probably cheated before. I cheated real hard in one class, on one test in particular, and almost my entire test was just me cheating. It was college biology. It was the final, and it was like a 200 question final. It was real complicated, and I did actually study for it. So I was ready. I probably would have gotten a lower grade than I got, but I got a perfect grade. You want to know how I got a perfect grade? It was just blind luck. I sat next to somebody I did not normally sit next to. It was an Asian girl, and she was allowed to have this translation device. Okay, so she had like a mini computer, and the point of the mini computer was that it could translate English to like Chinese or something. And so she would use it in the middle of the test. But it turned out that this little device also had connection to the internet. So she was quite literally looking up the answer to every single question on the test. She looked up every single question on Google. And I could actually see what she was typing on the computer because, of course, the computer was placed ahead of her, right? It wasn't the flat piece of paper on the desk. It was placed ahead of her. I could actually see what she was doing on her computer, so I knew she was cheating. And I just copied the same answers. I was like, wow, she is literally just looking up every answer. So I got a perfect grade on that test. And when people are like, oh, I don't like the grading system, it's like, I wonder how much cheating really does go on. What do you guys want to bet that more cheating goes on than you realize in our educational system? And so these grades, it's like, how reliable are they? Maybe the grades just mean you're a very skilled cheater. That doesn't mean that you should be hired for a particular industry just because you're good at cheating. Maybe a certain industry that wants people who are clever enough for cheating, sure, but let's say you actually need to be skilled at something, So that's another case where the grades seem to be this arbitrary thing. Man, is this guy not dead? We're like doing no damage or something. Multiple choice. Is the Brachydios bow meta? That's right, it's the meta. David, not sure what online test is. Pudos. Hey, mister, what is the Mona Lisa being held at? By the way, you'll get an F if you answer wrong. It's being held at $5 million. Humberto says, on Monster Hunter World, what do you think is the coolest melee weapon? The coolest melee weapon is the bow. Humberto, is that a Raging Brachydios bow? That is. Hella cheating. Probably less cheating, more getting paid to grade fix, cheating all day, cheating all night. That's right. Cheating all day, cheating all night. People who cheated have 3,000 IQ. It certainly looks that way on their resume. And then they have a resume advantage over you because people accept grades as like the best measure of, how good you are. But again, I don't hate the idea of grading either. You have to have something to measure people's skills, right? So something has to exist. Nice job, nice job. All my high school grades are a big cheat and scam the system, says Yali. Interesting. See, that's why I'm saying, so there's probably some people out there who are just very good cheaters and they get good grades. But this shows you that, again, that would mean that there's an inflated good grades, and how are businesses supposed to determine who's actually quite good? How's it going, Matthew? Davin says, I'm a college professor and struggling to design my final to prevent students from cheating. It must be harder than ever, Davin, because, everyone's got so much technology that even when you try to create a unique question, they're probably able to, well, yeah, I don't know. Devin, you must have a very challenging job because creating a test that people can't cheat on is going to be a struggle. Levy says, I do cheat at every test during school. See, there he goes. Devi, I'm glad you guys are honest about it. So I cheat. That was an example of me cheating once. There was once or twice where my wife actually let me check her like math questions during a math course. So it's not the only time I cheated, but yeah, it's just it's another one of those things. Maybe you're a bad cheater, so your score is lower than everyone's. Kenny says, being able to outlast the competition is a huge advantage. So I agree with your take on perseverance. Yeah, so having perseverance is a very, very valuable skill. Perseverance is one of the key skills that allows you to succeed in life. And schools don't teach you it, and schools don't test you on it. It's really goofy. It's real goofy. You don't get a score for perseverance, but you get scored in creative writing, and if you get a bad grade on creative writing, then that's going to affect your overall GPA for your engineering degree. What? How did we reach this point? Great businessmen come from cheating in work. I don't know if I agree with that, Brian Wong. There's companies that have committed fraud and lost everyone's money, and the men who committed the fraud go to jail for a very long time. So while cheating in school doesn't have those kinds of repercussions, cheating in business does have repercussions. And sure, you might get away with it every now and then, but there is white-collar crime and there are actual consequences for white-collar crime. Now, what you might be saying is people who are clever at cheating might just be clever, and so they might do well in business, and that I think you and I could agree on, but you shouldn't be cheating at work. Cheating at work is going to get you in trouble eventually. I don't know. Maybe there's somebody who gets away with it their whole life. The best cheater, right? I try to design my courses such that most of the weight in your grade lays on effort, not test taking. Sure. Yeah, it must be something that different teachers have different solutions for. But that's actually also another thing. So, Davin, have you considered there's some professors who are just better at creating tests than you? Or maybe you're much better at creating tests than another professor. So then the student's score is really also affected not by just by cheating. It's not just affected by grade curving. It's not affected by. It's also affected by the quality of their professor, which is almost like this arbitrary thing. I happen to be in St. Charles, Missouri, where I went to college. How good were my I don't know. I get a different professor than some guy over in Illinois. And so I get a different grade, he gets a different grade. Where's the consistency? And how's this supposed to determine the rest of my life? Like what kind of job I get offered? It's an interesting thing anyways. Just because I can point out inconsistencies, again, guys, I'm not against grades. It's just, it would be nice if there was a more like a universal grade. And maybe like one top professor who said it. Something like that. Let's see. Bray BMC said, I had a pre-med professor talk about how there was a certification test where people cheated from different time zones. Apparently, people who were ahead sold answers. Oh my god, that totally happened in college. I forgot about that. Totally forgot about that. So one of the times where I cheated, it was almost like an accident that occurred, but I took advantage of it because that's what you do. You take advantage of good situations. I had to miss a test. Because of something important. I think it was dental work. I think I was getting some, you guys know when I was in school, I had a little dental work done. And this caused me to miss a test. And the professor was cool with it because I was going to take the test the next day. Well, I was also the professor of the computer science club. And one of the things I did all the time, I was always helping other people in the computer science club prepare for tests. And I had one guy who's, he's a closer friend of mine in the club than the other students. And he's like, you want all the answers? And he just gave me all the answers to the test. And it was the exact same test that I would take the next day. So I just had an answer key. And so it was ridiculous. I went on to take the test and it was a cakewalk. I forgot about that. Yeah, so that's another issue. There's probably more cheating involved than we want to admit. And there's also that whole issue. I was reading an article and I've spoke about it on this channel before. I was reading this article where they were talking about how schools don't have an incentive to get rid of you. So what they do is they don't give you bad grades. So if you've got a bad grade and you should be kicked out of the school, they don't do it because they want you to stay in the school and they want you to keep spending your government money on your education, even though maybe higher education isn't for you. Maybe you should be a construction worker or a plumber. I'm not saying they're stupid, but I'm saying there's other jobs out there that isn't in academia. That's all I'm saying. And so they want you to stay in school and keep giving them that government money. So the incentive for them to give you Fs and to get rid of you is actually pretty small. And what happens is you get teachers who curve, or just teachers who are very forgiving, or teachers who keep the test very easy intentionally because the school likes it when they do that. Basically, they're favored by the school if they have a high retention rate for their students. See what I'm saying? The school's like, hey, you need to keep your students. So I was reading about that. I can't remember where I was reading that. It was like Forbes or something where I was reading that, and it reminded me of there were 3 main computer science professors, and one of them always did this. So you would take a class with him, and it didn't matter if you got an A, he will always curve everyone's grade up by 1 whole letter grade. So if you were a C student, now you're a B student. I always thought that was so crazy. And the funny thing is, everyone liked him. Well, they thought he was a terrible teacher, but everyone liked him. And that was because he curved the grade so hard. He always curved the grade so hard. So people would joke about how bad he is, but then they'd all they'd all be like, no, we love him though. You know what I mean? Oops, I didn't actually have a pod. They loved him anyways because you knew if you were taking one of his courses, you were just not going to fail that course. Even if you got a C, it was going to be bumped up to a B. And and obviously the students who were skilled, they were like, I don't like that. So they would be more open about their frustration with that sort of system. But there it is. You would have a teacher who just artificially, inflates the grade in order to keep his popularity high and in order to maintain more students. And this is another problem. So yeah, the grading system in school is very interesting. Anyways, what is or was your most valuable Pokemon card? I suspect my most valuable Pokemon card has not arrived, actually. There's a new card I ordered. Hold on. So I didn't have a pod, and what I decided to do there is I decided to just claw him 3 times to hold him in place. My most valuable card I purchased today, I got a really good deal on it. It's going to be a Shining Charizard from the Neo Destiny set, and he's going to be first edition. And he's real expensive. He's valued at about $6,500. And I had a little bit of cash saved up for a big purchase like that, and I actually had to talk the guy who's selling the card into selling it to me at that price. We had a nice conversation. He was real generous. And so now I'm going to be getting that card at a really, really nice price. So that would be my most valuable card. Shining Charizard from Neo Destiny. Alright, let's see. I had a teacher who just gave the answer for the test for no reason. Most of the potheads I know is from Colorado. A good CEO even profits in free government money, and our systems at this point basically rewards it. Oh, I thought the fight was over for some reason. Oh, this is good bow practice, by the way, guys. This is one of my less played weapons, so it's good I'm doing this. Alright. Oh, where's he going? Get on my shamos. Ragoon says, imagine the card got wet. Well, that can't happen. The card's in a professional case that doesn't allow it to get wet. How do you know which cards are more valuable? Oh, that's a very fun question, Ragoon. How much of an expert you are in trading and buying cards kind of determines how good you are at understanding the value of the cards. And I've been doing it for about 9 months now. It'll probably be 10 months in May. And I would say I've gotten much better at it. I've definitely improved. It's a very complicated thing. You're basically looking to put your money into the card that you think is going to appreciate the most over time. I use sort of an analysis of the increasing price of the booster boxes, the vintage booster boxes. So the vintage booster boxes just keep going up in price. Now there is an explanation for that. It's because they keep getting cracked open by guys like me and other YouTubers who split the box off to people who want to open these packs. But you know, the packs never really get cheaper. Over time, they just get more expensive because every time you open a pack, there's fewer of them. So they're a very interesting sort of alternative asset where as they continue to be opened, they just get rarer and rarer and rarer. So those are really interesting. They're also the least fun, you know what I mean? So the booster packs themselves are very generic. It's like, okay, I'm holding an unopened booster pack, but all of the fun of the booster pack is the potential of what's inside of it. However, because of their status where they keep getting opened, their rarity just keeps shooting up and their price is just going up exponentially. In fact, I doubled my money on many of the Rocket booster boxes in all of about 7 months. Compare that to the stock market, where on average you double your money in 7 years. 7 years. My money doubled in a few months. That's really crazy to think about. Well, anyways, with the PSA cards, it's a little bit different. You want to know how much the boxes cost, but you also want to know how many cards have been graded and were graded as a 10, for example. So you want to know how high is the demand for that card, the popularity of that particular Pokemon. You also want to know how many are available. And if it's a Pokemon of high popularity on a beautiful card of a very classic set, and it's got a perfect score and a low population, this card is very likely going to explode in value over time. That is my guess. When I'm about 60, some of these cards should be going for like $20,000 to $40,000. That's my prediction. Aaron says, if a car is $26,000, was a good down payment. Aaron, I would question if you really need a $26,000 car, first of all. Now, if you need like a pickup truck in order to do your business, maybe you're a construction worker, then yeah, so I could understand $26,000. If you're buying a luxury vehicle, what I would do is go for an $8,000 car instead, like maybe a cheap Ford or something with good safety rating. Get it, have it be a few years old already, maybe like 2016, 2017. buy it for like 8,000 to 10,000, and then try to buy it with cash. First of all, try not to take out a loan on it at all, but try to buy it with cash, and then it'll be a nice little reliable car. You can take the other $16,000 and invest that, and this will make you wealthy. But if you buy a $26,000 luxury car, you will spend the rest of your life paying interest and making somebody who owns a bank wealthy. So he will have the asset. You will be his asset. You will be his asset. He will make money off of you for years as you pay the car down. But if you're asking how much of a down payment should I make on a $26,000 car, I would say about $26,000 is what you should do for the down payment. You should pay for it 100% in cash. That would be my answer. All right. Also, right, Zane says never get a new car. I 100% agree. The moment you take a car off of a lot as a brand new car, it immediately loses about 10% of its value. So when you buy a brand new car like the one you have, or the one you're talking about, 26K, the moment you buy it, it loses about 10% of its value. Did you know that? Do a little research on it. I'm not making it up. The moment you buy a brand new car, it immediately loses 10% of its value. Nobody wants to buy the premium on a new car is ridiculous. So just something to think about. And buying the wrong car is one of the things that keeps a lot of people poor, by the way. Your car is so much money, and yet you don't need a pricey car. It's strictly a luxury. Really all you need is something that gets you from point A to point B. Like imagine if you could just teleport to where you need to go. So cars keep you poor because not only do you pay high interest on a high value car, but then, you lose more money when the car eventually breaks. So let me explain. Hold on. Who asked the question again? Who asked it? It was Aaron, right? So let me explain, Aaron. When you purchase an $8,000 car, think of it like toilet paper or Kleenex. The whole point of this thing you've purchased is for you to use it until it breaks, until it's worthless. Unless you're going to buy like a classic sport car and put it in a garage somewhere. That's a whole different story. But let's say you're buying a car. You're basically like buying a Kleenex. You're going to blow your nose into it every time you drive. That's how it works. You're strictly using it up. And so if you were to buy an $8,000 used car and it's got good air conditioning, it's got good heating, it's comfortable, and it's got good safety rating, eventually you will lose $8,000. If you buy a $26,000 car, it's the same deal. Eventually, you will lose $26,000. So what do you want to lose, $8,000 or $26,000? And not only will you lose the $8,000 on the car, the $26,000 on the car, the $8,000 car has cheap insurance because it's not worth that much. The $26,000 car has like 3 times the cost of insurance. 3 times. Because it costs 3 times as much. So the insurance company is looking at you going, if you crash that car, we have to be able to replace all the shit you broke. So you're going to pay triple the amount. Actually, the cheapest car I owned was when I was in college. I had this junker Ford truck. It was a Ford like F-150, but it was from 1995 or something like that. It was a stick shift. I do drive stick. And I paid all of $1,800 for it, and it got us through 4 years of school. It was amazing. And my insurance for that car was like nothing, dude. It was, compared to the car I had before it, this was a big learning lesson for me. I had a $10,000 Honda before it, and the Honda broke. The engine broke. It was so bad that I sold it off to a junker. So the Honda fully broke. And I had spent $10,000 on that Honda, and I put a lot of miles on it, to be fair, but I did get quite a bit of usage out of it. But it was $10,000, and when it breaks, I lose that $10,000. It's gone. So I spent all these years going to work for Coca-Cola just to pay off the car, just to have it break. See? Whereas this junker, $1,800, got me through 4 years of school, and the insurance was nothing. It was so low. Because the value of the car was like less than $1,800 according to the insurance companies. I paid $1,800, but they didn't evaluate it as $1,800 of value. They're like, yeah, that's like $500. And you know what else? I paid almost no property taxes on it. Most places make you pay property taxes on your vehicles. They do this to punish wealthy people who try to hide all of their money in cars. That's what they try to do. So basically, the government says, well, if you try to hide your money in cars, we'll tax your cars. So if you own a $5,000 car, you pay almost no insurance, you pay almost no property taxes. And then when the car breaks, you only lose $5,000. You don't lose $27,000. So this is why, and this is the funny part, you pull out a $27,000 loan, and then you're making those payments. Well, not only are those payments larger, which means you couldn't put money in the stock market, you couldn't put as much money into an investment, but you pay goddamn interest on it, man. You pay interest on a $27,000 loan as opposed to just paying cash for a $5,000 or $8,000 car. So you are just putting yourself into this huge financial hole when you buy a $27,000 luxury car. And if you're a car guy, if you really love cars, you should do it. You should buy it. I actually believe that. But you should buy it at the right time. Don't buy it when you're young. Buy it when you're wealthy. Really. Because it's so hard to become wealthy. It's at the beginning of becoming wealthy where it's most difficult to become wealthy. Later in life, when you have some investments and you've got some capital gains and you've got some dividends coming in from those investments that you have, and you've got moving around money, and you've got maybe you've got money put away just in case of an emergency, like a pandemic virus breaks out. So when you have all that, you're ready to go buy your toys. It's a toy. It's a $26,000 toy. But when you go to buy that toy, pay for it in cash. Save so much money. Pay for it in cash. Don't buy it on a loan. It's just silly. You're literally just throwing your money away. But yeah, it's okay to like cars. I'm not a big car guy myself, so it's easy for me to buy a cheapo car. And, I don't need a car to, like, impress a girl. I never believe in that kind of stuff. I pay $60 for liability insurance a month, says Zane. Cost the same as my phone bill. I see you're a man of culture. I finally got a new gunlance build done. Nice. You know what they say about guys with big trucks? They got big, stinky man pussies. David says, I'm looking to get into light bowguns, and elemental seems great. What build and light bowguns do you use? The Sophajiva light bowguns are really good right now. The reason for that is because you can actually upgrade them for elemental capacity. So you would just want, each bowgun for each elemental type. And then in general, you're going to use the Sophajiva armor for maximum damage. Or if you don't want to damage yourself, you could use the Silver Rathalos armor set. But definitely the Sophajiva armor is going to be best in this case, because what's nice about the elemental ammo is that you can actually fight from far away, so your risks of being interrupted and hurt are low. So even I would consider using the Sophajiva armor. Cameron says, your voice soothed me. One more. Ragoon says, Cox, Sophy Ella bowguns with full Sophy armor. That's right. Favorite ice cream flavor? Vanilla, followed probably by strawberry. Oh, you know what? Vanilla followed by butter pecan. I'm a vanilla. Oh, wait. I'm fighting the wrong guy. Why am I fighting? I'm so busy talking to you guys, I'm fighting the wrong monster. Remember back when Cove weapons were hot? Oh, I remember. One moment. There we go. I met a girl I was interested in dating until I saw a 60,000 car she was driving, and she lived in an apartment with 3 roommates. Totally turned me off. That's actually an interesting thing to talk about. Girls who have like more money than you, she's got a nice car, and this can lead to like a feeling of insecurity for men because you think, well, she's not going to want me. I don't have more money than her. So I totally get that. Also the roommates. Yeah, I would avoid her too. She's too far ahead, and it's hard to trust people to love you just because they love you. So that's like what I would call unconditional love. It's hard to find people who understand the concept of unconditional love and really apply it or believe that they should apply it, especially when we're in such a non-religious time in humans' existence. Like, why should I unconditionally love you? Well, Jesus tells me to, right? Something like that. That's what they said in the past. Jesus says unconditional love. Well, I don't believe in Jesus, so sorry. Time for me to get a sexy boyfriend with a ton of more money than me. You see what I'm saying? You like vanilla too, says Enzu. I like vanilla and butter pecan, but also strawberries, okay. I was deciding on that or a $4,000 truck, so I think I'm just going to go for work for another month to make the money and buy it. That's right, man. Buy it in cash. Buy it in cash. Just tell yourself that. If you don't need the car, if it's not a rush, buy it in cash. And if it is a rush, buy a nice car that is like in the $8,000, $10,000 range. Don't buy something that's... The question you should ask yourself is, am I buying what I need or am I buying luxury? That's the question you need to answer. And if you're buying luxury, what you're doing is you're buying a huge mistake. You're buying yourself into slavery for a bank is what you're doing. Cameron says, hey, can I have some money, mister? She was faking it to make it. What? God says you should love me. Well, yeah, that's what the Bibles do, right? That's what the Bibles say. And it you know, I think it works even a little bit. God damn it. It's not even the attack I was trying to use. I was trying to use the Thousand Dragon. Oh my god. Ah, no. Oh, I interrupted him though, huh? There's no reason to do that. I know you probably talked about monogamy before, but what do you think about it? I personally believe it can never work. You'll eventually lose feelings for your spouse. Anything can work because the human will can conquer any challenge if you are setting your mind to it. So if you decide to be monogamous because you decide that's the right thing to do and that you're willing to do anything to do the right thing, monogamy can work. Now, I think the question you're trying to ask is monogamy what we should be doing? Is it the right thing to do? That's the question that you're trying to ask. It's a very interesting question because even when it comes to the Bible, even when it comes to old religions that we tend to get our cues on how we should have our family structured, they had a bit of polygamy in the Old Testament, right? So polygamy was not out of the question a long time ago. And we know that human ancestors were polygamous back then too. And it was later on we became civilized, and this is when we stopped polygamy. And basically, a big part of this is, women giving women rights and equal footing as a man, so women were equal to men. And polygamy was really sort of this institution where women were so inferior to the man that they were like a second-class citizen, and you could have two of these second-class citizens, and they relied on you to give them money and all that stuff, right? And actually, polygamy is still practiced in certain places of the world, the Middle East primarily, but also, you had like Utah with the whole Latter-day Saints movement, and you find people who are in this new thing in the future in 2020 where they want to be in polyamorous relationships. They just changed the name. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, but it's got a new name, polyamory. And people are like, oh, I'm in a polyamorous relationship. I think that humans have the capacity to be monogamous or polyamorous. Here's a more difficult question for you. If we were to accept polygamy again, and here's what I think would happen in a polygamous setting. Men would refuse to hook up with multiple men for one woman. It would be a rare thing. It would happen, but it would be rare. And then you would most likely see a case where all the Chads get multiple wives. So this is exactly what would happen. The Chads would get multiple wives, and it could actually be a good thing for women. I think that things aren't like they were in the past. People are more open-minded and progressive about what choices women get to have in life and how they live their life, right? We're way more open-minded than they were 1,000 years ago or however long ago it was. So we're way more open-minded about this stuff. And women could end up being married to some really sexy, hunky guy with a bunch of money, like a movie star type, or whatever counts as a real successful man, usually a handsome man with a lot of success, right? They could be married to him rather than just the average Joe Schmo. But here's the problem. The Joe Schmo, where's he going to get his wife from? So he doesn't get a wife. And you run into this problem in the countries that do have polygamy, where they have more violence than developed countries with no polygamy. And part of the belief for this is when men can't have wives, their only solution is to become violent. And I actually believe in this. I believe that this is exactly what nature would expect you to do as well. So if we're looking at nature and you're, let's say, the beta male or whatever you want to call it, if you're the male who doesn't get to have sex with the females, your job is to hook up with the other beta males to kill the alpha male and then have a shot at the females. That's basically what you do, right? Or you wait for your turn or whatever. Unless you're afraid of dying, and that's what balances it out. So if you're one of the beta males and you're going to get killed by the alpha male, you don't. You're just like, all right, I guess I won't have any children. My genes don't matter. Okay, so this is kind of what happens in nature. The males become violent. So we could have polyamory. I don't exactly know if it really became like mainstream and everyone had, two girlfriends, or there are a lot of guys with two girlfriends. Again, I don't think there would be a lot of cases where there'd be a lot of girls with two husbands. I think it would mostly be men with two wives. That's mostly what you would see. I don't think this would necessarily be the best thing for all men, and you could see actually more societal decay because of it, because we can't agree, we can't have enough women for all the men. Maybe if you changed the birth rate, maybe if we controlled how babies were born so that there were strictly 2 girls born for every 1 male, then it would work. Then polyamory and polygamy can return, there will be no violence, and we can all have 2 sexy girlfriends, and there will be some women who will have 2 husbands, but again, I don't think that will work as often, because men are very territorial. Most men are territorial. Lust Jubia says, speaking of the Bible, what are my thoughts on chicken Alfredo? It's alright. Shrimp Alfredo all the way, Enzu. Speaking of the Bible, what was your atheism experience story, atheism story? I just listened to the Pure Comedy song, and it made me think in the way. So for me, I left religion at about the age of 22. Actually, the Catholic Church isn't a terrible religion. I feel that it teaches you a lot of complicated ideas about intrinsic value, unconditional love, sacrifice, humility, honor, respect, all these really important ideas for having a community, right? So these ideas are actually good for a community. And then, of course, it's all driven by the belief in a monotheistic higher power who created the world and all that stuff, right? So that's Catholicism. It's the original Christian religion that all the other Christian religions basically stole off of, right? So it's the oldest one. And then it was a good place to meditate. That was one thing, certainly. Whenever I went to church, it helped me relax, especially when I was younger. But I left it because I was somebody who enjoyed religious debate, and for a long time I played for their side. I played for the Catholics, and I heard many of the good arguments. There's a lot of good arguments against religion and needing evidence and all that stuff. So I argued on behalf of the Catholics for a long time, and eventually I would leave, not because I met somebody who was really good at debate, but because I met somebody who was very good at comedy, and somehow comedy was more capable of making me leave my religion than strong logical debates. And maybe that's because humor has a way of getting behind our entrenchment in our belief system. We often become very entrenched to, like, this is my belief, I will die for it, right? I'm going to be a martyr. Martyrs were a concept in the Catholic Church. I will die for my belief before I give it up. But comedy, it teases you. It teases ideas into your mind, and it doesn't leave you feeling defensive. It leaves you capable of seeing things from another point of view, perhaps a humorous point of view. And comedy is often very good at pointing out real inconsistencies in the world and things that just don't make sense. So comedy helped me out of religion. It wasn't strong debaters, and that was it. It's not the case that I don't believe the world couldn't have a God at this point. It's just, if there was a God, I'm not so sure what he would look like. Probably not like the gods that we have in our very, very, very much man-made religions. We've most likely all have man-made religions. It's very likely the case. Checkmate, atheists! Checkmate! Let me tip my fedora. I'm holding my physics book. Tip my fedora. Got him! But no, religious debate has always been a topic of great interest for me. Geez, I'm all here for the post my video for Cold Video, and y'all are wanting to be here for banging women? What? My 7-year-old brother could beat me up, no problem, when I was 13. Really? I, for the longest, never liked most seafood, but now I've gotten older, and that has changed. But I always loved grilled shrimp. Are you talking about George Carlin? George Carlin, yeah, he was really, really, really influential. But it wasn't just him. It was a lot of the stand-up comedians. So around the same time, I was listening to a lot of books on psychology and a lot of books on financial development, becoming wealthy. I was also downloading comedians, right, stand-up comedians. And these were a form of content that I hadn't really been exposed to at that point, because I don't know, it's just not something I ever thought to turn on the television. I was like, yeah, stand-up comedy, I can listen to that while I work. And the comedians really have a great way of thinking about things and being able to be skeptic about it, because it's a good-natured way of thinking about things. It's a humorous way. And again, it gets rid of the feelings of entrenchment and defensiveness, being able to make fun of something. And there's actually a famous YouTuber who does this, by the way, PewDiePie. You'll notice that despite him appearing not to be very political, he is actually quite political, PewDiePie is. and he uses comedy as a form of influence. With me, we often actually talk directly about the issues, but with him, it's very subtle. It's very subtle with him. Luxron says, Game Economist, what do you think is a good bow line to use for getting through the base game and Iceborne? I don't know, man. The Defender bow, I actually never played through the base game with the bow, so I have no clue on that one. Kenneth says, willpower is not enough to make you act on what you believe is right. As you said before, it's hard to do what you know you should be doing when you talked about burnout. Kenneth, this is a very complex subject that I'm still learning about. Let me give you a great example, though. Suppose you were captured by the Nazis. Suppose you were captured by the Nazis, and the Nazis says, you're going to agree with our political ideology or we're going to kill you. And the thing is, you have every reason to give in and believe in their ideology at this point, but you say, no, I'm not going to do this. So then you say, well, then they say, we're going to torture you now. So they hold you down and they torture you for a long time. And the question I have for you, can you have the willpower to say, I'm still not going to believe in your Nazi ideology? And that's when I realize how powerful willpower in a human being really is. So nobody can truly force you to do a thing. Nobody can. They can imprison you. They can torture you, they can take away your freedoms, but they can't mind control you. And your ability to resist them telling you to believe in a specific ideology is what I call willpower and this concept of free will. You can resist it if you so decide, no, I'm in control of my own thoughts. You can't force me to be a Nazi like you. So this is what I think is really giving people the ability to say, this issue is so important to me that I'm going to control it and I'm going to do what I believe is the right thing to do. Now, when it comes to doing the wrong thing, what's interesting is people seem to be really bad at willpower when it comes to substance addiction. So like eating the right food. You don't really think of it as like you versus the Nazis because it's not. You're not disgusted by cookies. You don't look at the cookies and say, I'm disgusted by you. I can't believe you even exist. You don't really say that. So you're just like, oh, cookies, awesome. And then you eat too many of them and then you're fat. So it's a complex thing. It's a changing thing. People struggle with substance abuse at a physical level, a chemical level. But willpower really does exist. And maybe you could say for people who have substance abuse and addiction, the very first way that they can express willpower is by seeking help. See what I'm saying? So it's a complicated thing. You can go to your doctor and be like, look, I have a problem with eating. Or you can say, probably you're going to need to get me on some medications for high blood pressure. I don't know, right? So whatever, you can take yourself to a fat camp. I don't know what to tell you. So you have some willpower still. It's just, it's a difficult thing that we're constantly learning to be better at. And you're right. I think that people do have a limited amount of willpower, but you'd be surprised how much you have, I think.
In Dublin, Ireland. Coffee and work time. Hi all.
Coffee and work time. You're in Dublin, Ireland. Coffee and work time. Thank you so much, Sidhay. How do I say her name right? I don't know how to say her name. Sidhay Draoui? See, I'll never get it. Thanks so much for the donation. It keeps me going. I'll use that on my coffee. What do you think of that? Are we talking about Tiger King? That's right. Carol Baskin killed her husband. She whacked him. Can't convince me that it didn't happen. Fed him to tigers. They snacking. Look at the celebrities now during lockdown losing their minds. They are losing their minds, everyone. Processed sugar addiction makes it really difficult to completely stop. It's everywhere. I know, right? Sugar's so good. And the problem with sugar also is your body actually uses sugar, right? So you actually use sugar to give yourself energy. So it's like you want it, and it's kind of a natural thing, but you overconsume it and you consume like the worst versions of it. It's not like you're eating a piece of fruit. You're not eating an apple. You're eating a goddamn cookie, and the cookie's just like fat and white flour and white and it's chocolate, which is basically just butter covered in cocoa and sugar, and so it's the way we consume sugar too. Like if you were to eat tons of fruit, you would find that you couldn't keep eating sugar because the fiber in the fruit would stop you. It'd be like, oh, I can't eat one more apple. You don't eat like 10 apples a day, right? You see what I'm saying? You eat like 10 cookies, and then you're like, oh my god, what happened? I blacked out, and now the box of cookies is gone. So this is what a lot of people probably discover about overeating. In the case of monogamy and losing interest in your spouse or even being attracted to someone else more over time, would that be comparable to a person with substance abuse problems? Yeah, it's a really interesting subject. I'm sure there's overlapping concepts from both You could come up with ideas like being a sex addict or being driven strictly by chemicals rather than by your maybe by your conscious will in order to protect your spouse and to be in a sort of contract with your spouse of exclusivity and have a sense of security and unconditional love with your spouse, right? Versus, hey, I'm a dude, I love sex with multiple partners, and I get what I want. I think one of the reasons we developed religions is because religions say, look, humans want to do bad things all the time. We want to kill each other and take each other's stuff. Think about the Ten Commandments. Most people are familiar with Ten Commandments. Don't covet thy neighbor's wife. How about don't murder and steal, right? So these ideas are things that you have to be told not to do because you naturally want to do them. Okay, what's natural isn't always necessarily what's going to give you the best life. And so when I love talking about nature because it can give us clues about the ways things should be. But religions talk about both nature and how do you live the right life or live in a good community where things actually work out. And this is why just about every civilization was religious. There's not a lot of old atheist communities anywhere, right? So it's an interesting thing. Again, I think that in the future, people aren't so religious and they're open to basically breaking the rules that religions didn't allow you to break. And we have new technology. We have birth control, right? But maybe what you need to find out is you go and, I don't know, like you and your partner try having a third partner and you learn what it's like to actually have to worry that, hey, maybe she leaves you and so does the other girl, both of them, and they decide, hey, neither of us like you, right? So I think that the religions worked well for a long time, and you shouldn't just discredit them simply because they were religions, and you should consider, why did they set up the rules this way in the first place? Maybe it just is the easiest form of a relationship is secretly between two people. Not secretly, but intimately between two people. That's the word I was looking for. And why would that be? It's because humans are already so complicated. Unless you're highly skilled with relationships and building a sense of trust and security, it could actually be catastrophic for your whole life to try to run two relationships together. It could be catastrophic. The jealousy, there's a sort of competition over resources if you think about it when there's three people. Time, who gets to spend time with each other, whose baby gets time and money spent on. So if you have two wives and they each have one baby, and now you have to spend time with each baby in a way, the wives are probably wondering, well, whose baby's going to get the best attention, right? Or is he going to favor my baby over the other baby, right? So this kind of natural competition over resources doesn't really occur between two people. So, and when I said that a relationship can be catastrophic, it really can be, because if you get a relationship, the truth is you don't have a lot of meaningful relationships over your time. You can have people you had sex with, but meaningful relationships are hard to come by. And if you find one that is meaningful and it falls apart and it doesn't last because you're like, oh man, I gotta have 3 girlfriends because I'm a man, you know, I'm a Chad, I got huge balls full of, you know, tons of cum, and monogamy doesn't work anyways. It's proven by science, despite most societies run monogamously now, right? Most societies are monogamous. And again, the societies that aren't, you find all this maybe violence. So anyways, my point is that it's a little more complicated than maybe you'd like to think it is. And you might be running off of, oh man, I'd love to have a second girlfriend, a feeling like that. Just be careful that you don't get more than you wish for, is all I would say. And I'm an open-minded person, so I would say, yeah, maybe it's time for society to experiment with concepts like polyamory again. But don't just discredit the religions. There's a reason why they worked so well. But again, also, at the beginning of this conversation, I did point out that polygamy did exist in the Old Testament, and you still have religions practicing polygamy. And this is why we covered that issue of, well, maybe if we had a sort of like a population control where there were 2 girls being born for every 1 boy, so that there were actually enough girls for you to have a polygamous relationship. Because you can't tell me that guys want to be in relationships where it's 2 guys per 1 girl. I mean, maybe like some hardcore, like, I don't know, like cucks or something, right? Cucks would want to be in some kind of relationship like that. And I'm not saying you can't be one of those, but I'm just saying most men probably aren't cucks. It's probably an abnormal thing that occurs, not a normal, average thing. So yeah, it's all very interesting to talk about, and maybe if you could find a third person who shares all your values, both you and your wife are attracted to that person, and you all feel super secure and financially secure, and you're all super competent at This is the funny thing: when you're young, that's when you're worst at relationships, because you haven't had any experience, you haven't had to work for it. So that's when all these relationships are going to fall apart for you. It's a complicated issue. One of the things you don't want to do, though, is just say, oh, humans aren't meant for monogamy. What are you talking about, man? People have been monogamous for a very long time. Monogamy and polygamy have occurred, and saying that one or the other is superior is probably not a good way to think, because you're trying to put yourself in a box. I'm not monogamous. You're actually putting yourself into a box where you're not open-minded. Shadow Khan says, I think I'm going to head out. Night GE, night chat. Good night, man. The big boy says, how are they so calmly speaking while doing moves? Kenneth says he's a pro, just casual Monster Hunter in chat. Anime, that's right, it is casual Monster Hunter. I'm playing like poo-poos, is the truth. And my build is not that powerful. Anime protagonists be banging 3 to 5 girls in anime. Well, that's because anime is a fantasy. And most men fantasize having multiple partners because it's almost like a form of wealth. It's like a form of wealth. When men become wealthy, what do? They have a bunch of side hoes. They cheat on their wife with the maid. And when you're poor, you're less likely to do that. Why? Because you rely on your wife. If your wife breaks up with you in the middle of your, if you're like, let's say you're 40 and your wife leaves you, you are not going to pick up another wife that easily, although maybe that's changing. I'm not sure. But again, when your wealth goes up, your ability to cheat goes up, and then it happens more often is the thing that you find. But anyways, so monogamy has benefits too. I think in monogamy you have a greater sense of security, and it's less complicated. It's less complicated. And if you get this urge like, oh, I got to go out and frick another girl, just jerk off or something, guy. Like, come on. just jerk it and be over with it. And if you really want to go out and have sex with another girl, hey, it's 2020. Maybe your girlfriend or wife is open-minded to this kind of stuff. But do you really want to take on like a polyamorous relationship? Are you that skilled with the relationships? I think most men probably aren't. Chico says, chat, the president temporarily banning immigration. I'm Indian. Do you see immigrants as a threat to your employment? Oh, really? Hold on. I want to see. Is that true? I heard about this. Somebody was talking about this issue like 2 weeks ago. Whoa. CNN, it's on the front page, it says the United States is monitoring North Korea, who they believe is in grave danger after surgery. Whoa. I wonder if he had like a heart attack or something. Will make is that there's enough Americans to fill those jobs, and that companies actually prefer to bring in immigrants to basically pay you guys half of what an American would have been paid. So it's a form of, it's exactly what we've seen with the southern border and the labor, the low unskilled labor market. You want a bunch of farmers for cheap? Just take a bunch of people from the south and pay them nothing. And this destroys the labor market for unskilled laborers, which, by the way, typically includes a lot of Democrats. So anyways, I've heard a conversation. I heard it not too long ago. It was some article, and it was talking about how this is happening in the tech industry in the United States. In the United States, workers' income in tech jobs should be going up faster than they are. And the speculation is that what's going on is corporations are using this rule that allows them to bring in workers from like India, for example, and pay them literally half the rate of the job. So they're not giving the jobs to Americans, they're actually giving them to Indians and benefiting from basically much lower labor. And so the Republicans, some of them who might be of economic protectionists who don't believe in true globalism, they might be saying, no, we're not going to let our corporations do this. You're going to have to pay a fair wage for that job in America rather than importing workers from abroad. And this is an ongoing conversation about globalism versus nationalist protectionism. Which one works? Oh, main objective complete. I'm the best teammate. Mr. Platypus says, all right, TGC, I'm going to head out. See you later, man. Neric Digital says the immigrants are much more likely to be taken advantage of. Well, and part of that is because it's not their fault. They're actually just going after their best opportunity, which would be to come to the U.S. and get a good paying job over here. Whereas in their country, there might not be as many opportunities, and the opportunities that do exist don't pay as much. So it makes perfect sense for them, but it actually might be damaging to the labor markets in the U.S. And the question is, how should the laws be written? Should the laws be written so that corporations just bring in the cheapest workers from abroad so that the labor is done as efficiently as possible? Or should we have protectionist policies that say, no, Americans are prioritized and American wages should be protected? Having the cheapest labor from abroad is not an ideal. It does not actually make our country wealthier and stronger. It just makes some corporations really strong. And it turns out those corporations aren't even loyal. You see what I'm saying? They're not loyal to the U.S. So this is an ongoing conversation, and both Republicans and Democrats take different sides on this conversation. Both Republicans and Democrats will swap sides on this sort of complicated issue. It's a very complicated issue. Modestro says companies will send jobs. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm missing this. Companies will send jobs overseas. Yes, tech jobs are paid very well here, for example, but the income is very low. Bill Smith says, I hate how Democratic politicians scream about a livable wage while wanting to open borders so their companies don't have to pay American wages. That's exactly right, Bill. And that's why in the past, in the past, it was actually the Republicans who wanted open borders. Did you know this? You guys might not have known this. In the past, the Republican Party wanted open borders and unchecked immigration because it provided cheap labor. And the Democrats didn't want this. And this is part of the reason why on the border of Mexico, we already built a wall. There were already huge sections of wall. And this was built by Democrats. It was not built by Republicans, which is why it's so hypocritical that they don't want to finish building it. But here's the reason they don't want to finish building it. Because so much time has passed, all of the illegal immigrants had kids that became naturalized citizens because of our dumb law that says you can come here and have babies and the baby is now an American citizen. All the babies are American citizens and they get to vote now, and which party do they vote for? The left learned they vote to the left. So now the parties have swapped. The Republicans learned that they need to control voting, and Democrats discovered, hey, we need to have as much voting from immigrants as possible. So the parties have swapped. The people who get fricked in all this, the American people who grew up here and have ancestors here, who fought in the wars and paid taxes, and they came here legally, they applied legally, they did all this stuff correctly, they're the ones who get fricked because you do all the tax paying and then the benefits go to another group from a totally different country. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. And the labor market is decimated. And in general, we absorb more men than women when we take on immigration. We don't take even numbers of men and women. Melza says, I kind of believe with that. Used to work for ATT Universe, and everyone in my building got laid off and went to another location outside the state. Like to say 3 buildings. You are playing PC or Xbox. Last job. Oh, okay. The comment section just updated. Hold on. NPC gave me a nice donation. He says, I'm finally in, Daddy. Oh my gosh. He says, I'm finally in. Hold on. Thanks for the donation, by the way, man. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Rosalina. Let's join. Sweet. This is a kind of similar to what happened with the stance on abortion between the two parties. Well, yeah, there's issues where the parties kind of jump back and forth. Yeah, there's some issues where the parties jump back and forth. Kenneth says, thanks for the talks, TGC. Have a good night. Best Monster Hunter channel by far. Oh, thank you very much, man. Oprah says, yummy, yummy, gummy in my mummy tummy. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Mmm. You think Capcom is making a new Monster Hunter for new generation? Absolutely. They almost certainly have plans already for Monster Hunter World 2 or Monster Hunter Universe or whatever the heck they're going to call it. Yeah, it's a very, very interesting subject. The people who get screwed, the city blacks who are living in difficult conditions in the inner city, it slams them because now this same inner city is competing between two groups to help. You have the illegal immigrants and the blacks who have already been struggling, right? So they just get slammed. And the Democrats say, hey, we'll just pull out a bunch of money and pay for both because those are their voting blocks. They're not going to just stop their voting blocks. It's almost like a straight line. You can tell which group is for what. Now the Democrats all want immigration and the Republicans don't because of basically shifting demographics. Is a very, very touchy and a very, very important subject. Bill Smith says, didn't Democrats refuse to secure the border after Reagan stupidly gave amnesty first? Miscellaneous says, did you know that 10 years ago today the first Monster Hunter content was uploaded to YouTube? That's very cool. Monster Hunter World Remastered. White Cis Male says, White Cis Male, it's not just the United States, it's other first world Western nations. That's actually correct. So it's an issue that's really complicated. Here's what I would have to say. One of the mistakes that the Republicans make is they become completely against immigration. And I think that's a terrible idea too. You can't be 100% against immigration. You have to have immigration to your country. It's actually very important. However, the right way, in my opinion, the right way to do immigration is to compete for the best immigrants. You should be looking for immigrants of great skill who are bringing their own money, right? They're not there for your welfare system. They're bringing their own money. In other words, what I'm saying is you shouldn't be there to absorb another country's homeless while that country gets to keep all of their successful people. In other words, there's successful people right now in South America. They own businesses, they're wealthy, they're happy. They don't rush up to America and illegally cross the border. They stay there, and we absorb all their homeless people who they don't take care of. So there's a lot of homeless people who are running from crime, and there's no there's no safety welfare net, and they come up here and we pay for all that when they should be paying for that, but they just don't have the money, or they don't care to, they don't want to share it, one or the other. And Americans feel like they're obligated to do this because America is a wealthy country. We'll give it enough time and we won't be. And it's as simple as that. Give it enough time and we won't be. And you're right, it's the same for Europe as well. For Europe, it's the exact same. It's very interesting for Europe, because I think Europe is sometimes kind of snobby toward the U.S. They're like, oh, look at the U.S. and we're more liberal, we're more progressive. But you guys don't understand. In the West, you guys have I would say you guys have a more solid identity than a lot of the United States. In the U.S., it's kind of like the wild, wild West, where you can have a bunch of cultures come in and compete with each other over land. Your countries tend to be smaller and have ancient history and a really solid identity. All right, so that actually is a huge benefit to your country. We don't have that in the U.S. You could come into the U.S. and actually make huge shifts and changes to our culture and to our cultural identity. You can do that. Can't do that so quickly in the European countries, in my opinion. But this is one of the things I think Europe is also about to figure out, or maybe you've already started figuring out. So once you've had enough immigration, you will actually start to experience the conflict. So there's this lie that you're told, diversity is our strength. That's a huge lie. Diversity is not a strength or a weakness. Anyone who says that is lying to you. It's not a strength or a weakness. It just is. You know what I mean? What is your strength is the talented workers in your country. Talented workers who are altruistic and sharing a shared identity and a shared culture. People who would go to war together, protect their country together, be loyal to the country together. That is your actual strength as a country, right? Having a family and raising a healthy family and doing the right thing for your neighbors, that kind of stuff. Whoa! Thanks, Sierra Miro. Whoa!
Cheers.
And I say that not because I'm against diversity either. Again, I'm for immigration. It has to be smart immigration. But saying something like diversity is our strength is the same argument as like you must have a woman on the board of directors. Is actually an extremely sexist, what the phrase I just said, having a woman on the board of directors, but also saying diversity is our strength. There's another way of saying diversity is our strength. There's another way of saying it. Let me explain. Here's the other way to say diversity is our strength. There's too many of your people here. That's another way of saying diversity is our strength. And so if you're German, it's like saying there's too many Germans in Germany. If you're British, it means there's too many British in Britain. That's what it means. It's another way of saying there's too many of you, and we need to diversify. And so it's actually, in a way, it's a very, very racist thing to say. Diversity is our strength. No. Altruism, a shared identity, and a good work ethic, that is your actual strength. That's where your economics come from, a healthy family, and especially being able to get along with each other. I think that Americans have learned over time how dangerous it is for us to just hate each other, because that's how it really is right now. Americans are so divided. It's so unhealthy that even in the face of a pandemic, we can't rally together on this. Our politicians use it as an opportunity to fight with each other. So people are dying, and our politicians are still playing their identity, their identity politic games, and are, struggling for powers. It's horrible. How are they supposed to govern well if they're fighting each other over the one thing nobody should be fighting over? Well, and the reason they're fighting is because there's a difference between them that is irreconcilable. You want to know what the difference between our two political parties is? That's totally irreconcilable. One political party believes that it should be in power based on the color of its skin, and that's the Liberal Party. They believe they should be in power based on whether or not they have a coochie, you know, coochie versus a penis, and whether or not you're a white man or a person of color. And that is extremely dangerous. It actually leads to fascism, because what happens is the response by the other team is, oh my gosh, we're having the race war. Is that what's happening? And what happens is they become fascists because you're so focused on identity and sexism. It actually becomes a huge opening for actual fascists to rise up and say, see, told you guys, they're all identity politician. That's exactly what happens. They're like, you want to defend yourself and survive and not be replaced by another group simply because of the color of their skin? Well, you're going to have to get violent. That's what people end up saying. They're like, all right, the only solution is violence. Oops. Violence and revolution. Revolution. That's what ends up happening. And then what do you get? You get terrorism. You get mass shootings. And you get really horrible, and that's exactly what's going on in the West right now. That's exactly what's going on in America in particular. And you have all these European countries who think they're immune to it. No, you guys are about to find out what it's like. That's what's going on in the... You guys have basically been... think about Ireland. This is a great example. Think about Ireland. North Ireland and... Northern Ireland and regular Ireland. Basically the same people. But what happened is the British mixes into this, and it turns into just this horrible fighting, and there's actual acts of terrorism and people kill each other. This is what's coming to the United States. It's already basically here, and this is what's coming to all of Europe because we don't have a very clever way of doing immigration. Our way of doing immigration is saying things like diversity is our strength, rather than saying all of us, you know, having a shared thing that we love is our strength. Or everyone is valued based on their ability to provide a talent and a skill to the country as our strength. So that's a meritocracy versus basically what is communism. And communism says we're all equal outcomes. That's communism. You know, I'm tipping my fedora like every sentence here. So if it sounds very cringy, all this stuff, but it's such important ideas that nobody's. It's hard to learn that. You don't learn this in school, definitely. None of the teachers are allowed to talk about this stuff. They would get in so much trouble if they talk about it. But it's so important. Telling women they should be on a board of director because they're women. That is actually really dangerous ideas. Because let's say the women were at some point were to just decide, hey, let's just, well, anyways, I won't go that far anyways. I can keep tipping my fedora all night, but I'll read your comments for a moment. So Bill Smith says, thoughts on New York Mail wanting people to photo and report people not doing social distancing. I don't really have a big opinion on that one. It's actually really easy to social distance. So if people are not social distancing, I don't know what's wrong with them. It's very easy to do, and the virus is real. So I don't want people to go to jail for not social distancing, but they shouldn't be assholes either. So how do you stop people from being assholes is probably the real question you could ask. Does Sweden have a grenade problem? So the reason that... Oh, Zane says, doesn't Sweden have a grenade problem? Sweden has a lot of problems that most of Europe does not. So Sweden has a rape problem, and Sweden does have a grenade problem. What happened was Sweden has had like this record number of explosive attacks, and they changed the wording, like morning... there was this article I was reading. It was called like morning explosion or something like that. They wouldn't call it explosion. I can't remember what they called it. The journalist used like this really clever language to downplay that somebody just committed an act of terrorism with the grenade. But the media was so concerned with sounding, maybe causing any form of racism, or they call you a xenophobe if you don't like the people who came over into your country, even though it's your home, man. It's your home. You're a xenophobe if you don't like the people who came over into your home that your politicians decided you should have. The politicians are like, now they're here. But yeah, so they have like record grenade attacks now. It's a crazy thing. And along with that, quite a lot of rape. They became the rape capital of Europe. Sweden did. And they're not allowed to complain about this because that would be rape. And basically, you're a bunch of beta males. You know, if you can't tell your government, hey, we're supposed to be oppositional to rape. Oh, there was this article from Sweden. It was a Sweden feminist. And she said rape from an immigrant is actually not as bad as rape from a Swedish man because he's supposed to know better, basically. That was her argument. And I was thinking, like, this is it. This is how bad it's gotten. Being raped by a Swedish man is worse than being raped by an immigrant, according to, some feminist article. I couldn't believe it when I read it. I was like, this is a joke, right? No, it was a real thing. She's like, he's supposed to know better. He's educated, stuff like that, right? We have to make exceptions for them because they come from a different... No, there's no exception for rape. It's like saying we need to make an exception for murder. So I thought you guys were all about living in a utopia. It's really not about that, is it? It's not about living in a utopia. It's about, I think a lot of it, there's a lot of white race hate. So I think a lot on the left actually hate white people, even though they won't say it. They do. They're very quiet about it. And I think also you have just this feeling like you must protect all these people by importing them into your country. And then if you're not playing the protector for them, you're a bad person. It's almost like an obsession with being Jesus, They're like, oh, we're Jesus. It's very snobby in a way. Just getting to the good pet part. Some nice fedora you got there, GameCon. I've been tipping it all night. I'm tipping fedoras here. I'm very smart. Lust Jubia says, write this down on a post note or something. How much hours of gameplay did it take you for you to get Mighty Bow? I have no clue. Canada is experiencing the same problem. We have immigrants from India playing cricket in groups of 10, ignoring what's now a bylaw. I can see, there's nothing wrong with playing cricket, in my opinion. I don't know what you meant by that. Someone said our prime minister pride himself that half his cabinet are women because equality. Excuse me. So I think you're talking about Justin Trudeau. He had like blackface or something when he was a teacher in high school. Half my cabinet is women. Half of the people who run your country have coochies. This is truly progress. Note to self, don't go to Sweden. I posted on an event quest for those that would like to join. Prime Minister reminds me of that Family Guy scene where Peter kicks open women room stalls and goes, oh, sorry, I'm retarded, because he was diagnosed. White cis male says, left hate white people because all whites are racist in their view. Right, so people don't talk about the fact that you can actually be quite racist toward white people. Bill Smith says, Hollywood seems pretty open about it, just read their Twitters. Yeah, I agree. Oh, I need a drink real bad. I've been talking nonstop for the last almost 4 hours. There we go. Way too much talking. But anyways, my point is that America has been experiencing this stuff for the last, I want to say 10 years. I want to say roughly 10 years this has become a big issue in America. And I think that Europe has been very snobby toward America. And I think that with all of the immigration you guys have been experiencing, is basically your turn. You're going to start experiencing all of it. And I think one of the very worst parts of the experience is all of the division. The level of division between everyone is the worst part. You guys really, really will not have a singular identity at all. From now on, the future for you will be irreconcilable differences, not based on how much taxes there should be, not based on, I don't know, how many new roads should be made, infrastructure, but the irreconcilable differences will be over how many white people are there? Are there too many white people? Yeah, there's too many. Diversity is our strength. That will be the new irreconcilable difference for you guys. And you'll feel it. It's what I call a race war. We have a huge race war in America, and is so toxic. And I think that it actually causes fascism. The race war does. It causes fascism. And that will be the end result. There will be basically an opposing side will rise up, and you're going to have this sort of identity groups war. It's really awful. I wonder if Arch-Tempered Namiel will make water interesting or annoying. Definitely annoying. Definitely annoying. Oh, here we go. Joining up, Rosalina. And we'll have this over here. Mandatory defense gem slots feel stupid. Another thing, very often America is criticized for the amount of shootings that occur over in America. And while I agree with the death toll on this is very tragic, and maybe we could reduce it by simply removing guns from everyone, one of the things that I think the Republicans also are a little bit correct about is the fact that somebody actually wanted to commit an act of murder on another person. So even if it was the case that guns were all taken away from Americans, what you would have heard about is a knife attack. You would have heard about a knife attack. And I think that you will see more of this in Europe as well. I think that Europe will have more terrorist attacks. It could be white people committing the terrorist attacks, but it's going to all be about politics. There's going to be a kind of like a big race war, and normal citizens who don't care for race wars are going to be totally trapped in it, and there's just going to be lots of death. There's going to be lots more race war because this is essentially what it's all coming down to. Wong says, thoughts of asking Chinese not from China who don't like bat soup, etc. Ask just because they are Chinese, not from China, but country like Singapore. Excuse me. Move my laptop around here. Sorry. First of all, thank you so much for the donation. I think he meant to type thoughts of attacking Chinese, not from America, who don't like bat soup. Well, I don't think that the United States is attacking anyone except for the Communist Party of China. Those would have been the people who mishandled what happened with the coronavirus by doing things like hiding the fact that it was being transmitted between humans, telling the World Health Organization that everything is under control and that there's no human-to-human transmission, and lying about their numbers too, lying about how many people are affected, how quickly, and who's dying. So I don't think that, I think people often accuse each other of being racist, but I actually don't think people are that racist in 2020. So, if you're Chinese, if you're Asian, and you're feeling like there's going to be some sort of a racist backlash against this whole thing, there might be a little bit. Yeah, there might be a little bit, but I don't think it'll be that much. I honestly don't think it'll be that much. And I think it'll be directed toward the government. It's always these institutions, man. It's always these institutions that create the rules. They tell you how to think. They call you all the names, right? They call you every name in the book, or they're on the other side trying to fight this, whatever. It's all these institutions fighting for power. Les says, okay, I'm pooped. Bye now. See you later, man. My thought about removing all guns from the country comes back to America's war on drugs. How's that going now? Let's legalize weed because stupid to enforce. Now let's ban guns. I'm okay with legalizing weed. I think that several states already have done this, and it's not like the country melted down because of it. That was a long-ass stream, man. We've had a long stream. Mama says, my classmates are racist and they bully me. I'm sorry to hear that. You will make it, man. I think one of the funny thing is, when you want to get rid of bullies, when you're a young kid, when you want to get rid of them or get them in trouble, what you learn is that you grow up and everyone's a bully at some point in life. Everyone's a bully. Even if they smile, they shake your hand, they want your stuff, they want your money. They always do. Let's go ahead and grab this guy. Don't do it. He did it. Oh, really? He got me to flip too. Jesus Christ, man. I just can't grab onto him. One, two, three. I'm all for legalizing weed, just regulate it like cigarettes. That's right. Why put people in jail for it? It doesn't make any sense. We could have decriminalized it a long time ago, and we could have made it legal a long time ago. It's 2020 and it's still not legal everywhere. Oops. I got flinched. What's better, Sophie Light Bogan or the Raging Brachylite Bogan? Sophie Light Bogan. Do I keep getting hit by this guy? I think I keep getting hit by Oh Whoa. Oh Whoa, you should go for the legs. You should soften the legs and go for the legs, Oh Whoa. You don't want the tail. Your weapon doesn't reach high enough for the tail. And if you attack the legs, you can actually cause them to fall over and trip, which allows everyone to get a lot of damage. Oh, I forgot. That one, it aims to the side ahead. See you later, white cis male. Strength is our strength. Strength is our strength. So it's actually a really big one. Strength is our strength. being good financially, having good talents, and having unity. Any recommended build to fight Cold to Raw? If you have a weapon that deals better raw damage, just deal raw damage the whole time. If you have a weapon that deals better elemental damage, you'll want to have thunder damage while her mantle is on, and ice damage when her mantle is off. Oh, God damn it. Have I played God Eater? No. I remember when it came out, but I did not bother with it. I went hard on Monster Hunter. Totally invested. Do you parents should be mad if their kids are getting bad grades even if they are trying their best? Parents have to be careful. Parents have to be able to discipline their child in a productive way. And this is a complicated issue. Basically what happens is you get into conflicts with your children about how things should be, and children are not that smart, and you're supposed to be smart. And so when you're in a real conflict with the child, you actually do need to punish the child. The child needs to learn that oh my God. The child needs to learn that there's consequences for being a bad person, and the child needs to learn basically they need to have a sense of organization and structure in their life. This is very good for children. Organization and structure, because the whole world runs on that, you know, and they need to learn to resist getting what they want all the time, and have a sense of putting off what they want so that they can accomplish a goal. Your question is, should parents be mad if they get a bad grade? It depends on a lot of things. So like you say, if the child is trying their hardest, I guess in that specific scenario where the child is actually trying their hardest, no, they should not be mad at their child. They should say, you know what, you tried your hardest, maybe this isn't for you. But your question could also be from your own perspective. Maybe you think you're trying your hardest, and your parents think that you're not, and maybe they're right. See, that's the hard part. When you're a kid, you don't know anything, and your parents do. One of the things that happens throughout your education as you get to higher and higher levels is you discover that the workload's larger and the complexity of the work is harder. And so you go through this sort of progression when you're being educated, where what you thought was hard when you were younger was actually easy, and the hard work is still ahead. So things get consistently harder and harder and harder, and it's your own, what's the word, not ignorant, but uneducated or inexperienced, there we go, it's your own inexperienced view of the world and difficulty that makes you think you've tried your hardest, and really you haven't. It's actually very hard to find people who try their hardest. Trying your hardest is a rare thing. People usually do not try their hardest on most things. They're just like, I put in some effort and it made me tired. But imagine somebody was holding a gun to your head, and if you did not try your hardest, he would actually pull the trigger. And what you would see is you would actually see a totally different behavior come out of the person who has the gun to their head. They would actually really be trying their hardest. So this concept of yours, should parents punish their child if they're trying their hardest? If they're really not trying their hardest, if they really are trying their hardest, of course not. The parent just needs to say, this isn't for you, that's okay, we'll find some other job for you, or you'll have some other skills, okay. But the child really shouldn't pretend as if their parents don't know what trying their hardest is, because they're older than you and they're more experienced. It may be the case they know something you don't. It's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing. Children do not have a lot of reference because they're so much younger than their parents. It would be nice if everyone had good parents. I did not, so I wish I did. Parents can definitely go overboard and hurt their children by maybe holding them to an unrealistic standard, or just not being able to forgive them and not being able to show them that they love the child even if the child is struggling with their education. There's a balance to it. There's a right balance, and good parents find the right balance. I hear C-SPAN is like watching paint dry. No, that's not true. C-SPAN is sometimes like watching paint dry, but actually C-SPAN can be quite entertaining. It depends on what's going on. So sometimes some really... Oh no. Dude! He just landed 3 moves on me so well I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't sheath my weapon because the bow sheaths so slowly. He's wrecking my ass right now. Oh my god. Alright, well, all we can do is go back down. Jesus Christ, man. That was unlucky. When do you plan on having kids? Right now. I'm looking for 9 fertile females because I want to have all my children at exactly the same time. So I'm going to have to get 9 women pregnant at the same time. It's the best way to do it. I like Tim Pool. Tim Pool. Yeah, he's okay. He should take the hat off or get like a toupee or something already. God, that was so terrible. Dude. Sophie Greatsword with Teostra T or Tech. What? GE getting carded by randoms. I'll pay attention to the game more. Is he being thrown into a wall? Yeah, he is. Oh, okay, let's see. There was one time at school where this kid almost killed a bully on the spot because the bully was mocking about the guy's deceased parents. The bully had a broken arm, spine, and neck. Whoa. Yeah. What do you do to that kid? I mean, if his parents died, I don't even... he obviously, he can't go around breaking people's spine, but, man, I don't even know. That's tragic. So much tragedy. King Taco says, open a pack for yourself. What are you talking about, King Taco? Oh, they're flashing him. Can you show us your bow build? This would be literally and figuratively impossible. Grab onto him. Woo! In theory, can slicing ammo cut a monster's tail? Oh, it's not a theory. It definitely can. It deals sever damage. So slicing ammo does not deal shot damage. It deals sever damage. So it's like attack. It's like all the damage you're dealing is very similar to like what you would do with a greatsword or a longsword. Okay, it's the same. It's the same damage type. Man. You know, it feels like the Divine Blessing doesn't proc as often for the bow. It just feels that way. I could be wrong. Alright, let's go ahead and heal up. I don't like the Master's Touch personally. I think it limits me a bit. Don't be shy, put some more. Except slicing sucks ball. Hey, mister, why won't you show me some codes? Hey, mister. Late night Pokemon card stream after this, guys? Just do a late night Pokemon card stream. What time is it? 1:28 in the morning? I gotta get that base set sold off. Uh-oh. Woo! I had one more jump left. Hell yeah. You can save 10 seconds to get to the lava area by jumping off the cliff at Camp 3. Nice. He's being thrown into a wall right now. Get him! He gotta get real mad now. Uh-oh. Oh, what happened? Oh, you know what? I will just heal up. I'm gonna take it easy. I'm not gonna die again. Frick that. No dying. Pick up this nice little crystal burst right here. Oh, he's dead. This guy's dead. Whoa, 295. Is that just from the crystal burst? That's so weird. Ouch. We'll put on the glider mantle. Uh-oh. God, dude, why does he keep applying this damn blast to me? Woo! Oh no. I'm scared, dude. I'm gonna triple cart. Oh, no, 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 no. No, no. Woo! Oh, man. I think I rolled the roar, did I? I think I rolled through it. What is my opinion on tanking crude oil prices? It'll return when people start doing things in the economy again. You should expect it to tank. That would be very normal right now. What's the next stream in the platform? It should be PlayStation next. And I can't tell you when the next one is. It's very random. Maybe what I'll do, guys, maybe I'll take a nice little break, and I will be open-minded to doing a last card stream, because it's only 1:30 a.m. in the morning for me, so I'll be open-minded to it, okay? Rosalina, I'm glad I got to play with you. Thanks for all the donations. That was very generous. How do I level up fast? I'm on Master Rank 85. Grind those monsters, man. Try joining SOSs. Tenderizer. Nice. Alright. Kulva's female. Ree! Why does she get to be the siege monster just because she has a coochie? That's me tipping my fedora right there. We need to finish Lotto 1. Lotto 1. It is Lotto 1. Thank you, everyone, for all your generous donations. It's awesome. It's actually really amazing. Nikio says, you don't XP gain in Iceborne is sluggish, but I guess you could do event quests that give extra XP. That's right. You could do that. Or you could commit Suicune. You could focus on upgrading your charms, man. Just get the things you had to get done anyways. Focus on things you were already having to do, like upgrading your charms, and then you won't waste any of your time while you're leveling up. All right, we are ready to wrap things up. Let me give you guys the wave. It is pretty late. Let's get the wave. Thank you all for joining the live stream. Maybe it's time to play another game just as a break. We got a few more days before Cove, like 2 more days. So maybe something weird like Minecraft. Who knows? I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.